Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, Dan? Let me see. I think I messed up.
Another week, another podcast.
Yeah, bro. A lot of stuff's happened, I guess. Well, I
Yeah.
think. Now that I think about it, what the hell has happened? Uh,
Well, a lot of stuff did happen. The Waltzes decided to go against Waltz.
oh, oh yeah. Oh, man,
People are getting,
I should have uploaded that picture.
they're trying to go after Elon Musk for free speech.
Who is in the United States or in Brazil? In Brazil, they're trying to. Yeah,
Brazil, but there's calls around the world.
yeah, bro. I
There's
think,
calls from Europe telling them arrest Musk and stuff. Like, how dare we have free speech? We tell you what to say.
man, you think because it's crazy what's even happening with Musk and Trump. And Trump's trying to get him to be part of his I forgot what the department is, but to make an efficiency, some sort of department. So basically, to do to the
Yeah.
government, to the U.S. government, what Musk did to Twitter, just just cut all the waste, just and
Yeah.
that's
Get rid of all the corrupt people
yeah.
and the way.
Vivek's been talking about that for a long time. Actually has a real plan on how it could be done legally. I think I brought that up before, but yeah, man,
Honestly,
it
when
just
we get down to it, Vivek's plan, Vivek, he's probably the best to lead the country, honestly. I mean, the guy is
yeah,
sharp as hell.
yeah, he is.
So I would love to see him in that administration and at some point president because every time I hear him, I'm like, dude, this
Yeah,
guy, not only is he sharp, but he's so quick witted.
yeah, for sure. Well, a lot of people were really hoping that they picked him, that Trump picked him. I wonder why he didn't. It had to have been his age,
I
no?
think it's two alpha dogs.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before. Yeah, you're right.
That's my best guess is two alpha males. That Vivek might overshadow him at some points. I think Trump's not perfect, and I think he's got a lot of ego, and I think Vivek would probably outshine him because they're going to say the same things. Vivek would just say them better,
Yeah,
just like RFK. RFK is saying the same things, but he's just saying them better. Like
yeah,
Trump is saying the same stuff, but Trump's not as articulate as those two.
yeah,
But
yeah,
their thoughts and their ideas are the same. It's just how they explain them, and those two can explain them more coherently than Trump can in a shorter amount of time. Trump explains them coherently, but it just takes him a little longer. And
yeah,
he likes to put in little jabs and like jokes and stuff like that. Trump's got his own personality, where these guys are just straight business.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Another one that's sharp like that is what's his name? Cash Patel.
Yeah,
Cash Patel, Vivek. Yeah,
yeah.
man. All these guys are gonna be part of that administration. It's just gonna be a dream team administration, man. So, shit, bro. Well, we'll jump into kind of what. Well, let's go. Let's kind of get over. Get out that JFK video real quick. You want to look at it? You're
Oh,
mentioning.
okay, yeah,
So I
yeah.
got it right here. So hopefully it's clear enough. Let me see if I could make it big enough for you. Can you see it? You can
I
see the
don't see
screen,
it.
right?
I don't. All I see is the Real Revolution
Okay,
screen.
as long as you can see it, right? All right, here goes.
Three shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Irrefutable, undeniable proof that William Greer indeed did not. Oh wait, did not kill. Yeah, so I think this is the debunk video. Did you see that?
I mean, I can't see. I got it on my small screen, so I can't
Okay,
really make
let me
out.
see if I can make it bigger.
So you can see the driver with the gun. Is that what you're saying?
No, it looks like it. So maybe I could slow it down. I think I could slow it down. Let me see right here. Take that stupid audio off. All right, can you see a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, well, right. I gotta slow right there. You see that? You see that?
I see that. Bright spot.
Yeah. Well, you see the driver, right?
I mean, I could see
You see the
his
driver's head.
head, I guess.
Okay, so that line, there's like a white line right below him. Hold on, let me see if I could put my. No, I can't put my mouse on it.
Yeah, it does look like a reflection.
Okay, so while all that, yeah, so that reflection, that light right there is what they're talking about. So the driver turns around right at that point. So it looks like he puts the gun, he lifts the gun with his left hand, points it back at JFK. So he has the gun really close to like he's turned completely around, so the gun would be like on his left cheek, and he's looking back at JFK, and right there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the gun disappears right there JFK's head blows away, but it's not. It's the reflection of the guy of the what is it the governor?
Yeah, the Governor
It's the
Conley.
governor's head. It's a reflection of his head because he goes forward. Yeah, so I've seen this a long time ago. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "Holy shit!" I believed it too. I was like, "Damn, look, this the freaking driver shot him." And then I don't know if I just came across another video. And I was like, "No, hold on." It was like a clearer video, and they slowed down. You can see that it's. Oh man, I love that I can control these videos now. Right there. That's a better view. So I don't
I
know if you
still
could.
can't make it
Yeah, you
out.
can't see it on your phone. Well, just check it out
Yeah,
afterward if you get a chance on your
yeah.
laptop or something. But yeah, it's basically
I mean, I
it's
looked at the video on my laptop, and I once again I couldn't make it out. They're like, look right here in this frame 310, you can see the gun clearly, and I'm like, I can't see anything clearly. Uh, I can't. I mean, to
yeah,
say you can see it clearly is a misrepresentation. 'Cause I can't see anything clearly, but
yeah.
just first of all, you got the problems with this is like he gets hit on the right side. If it's from the front, it's on the right side of his head. The driver would have hit him like at best in the middle, but really on the left side. And why would you have the driver do it when you got a Secret Service in the passenger seat who's not holding the steering wheel? Why wouldn't he be the one to do it? Second of all, no one in the car knows that a shot came from the car. I mean, it would have been super loud even if they
Oh,
were looking back. I mean, they would have been like, "What the hell?" Right?
oh, I see.
And then look at all the people on the side of the road. Watch, they're going to drive by people right as it happens. They're right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Watch, you'll see some people in the frame come up.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
There
So it's
should be some
JFK.
people there. If there's not people there, see, there's people right there. They're
Yeah,
not seeing this guy pull out a gun,
yeah.
right? None of
Um,
these people saw it.
right.
Like they're right there. Like so, it doesn't make any sense that the driver would do it because it's just the angle's wrong and it's too obvious. I mean, there's no way he could do that and no one know. Like you would have to have the first lady, the governor, the governor's wife, and the other Secret Service agent all in on it for
Oh
sure.
yeah, for sure. And the wife would have saw it like immediately. I mean, even Jackie would have heard the shot like right in front of her. You know what I mean? She wouldn't have. She wouldn't have looked back. She would have looked forward and been like, "What the hell did you just do?" You know what I mean? She would have yelled at the.
Well, they said in this document. The reason I'm bringing this up is because there's some new documentary talking about how the driver did it.
What?
Oswald's just a, Oswald's just the patsy, and that
There's a
when
new documentary about this.
yeah.
Oh my god, that's just
And so
retarded.
when Jacqueline Kennedy climbs on the hood of the trunk of the car, he says people were saying that she's trying to get out of the car. She's not trying to get out of the car. She's going for part of his skull. If
Yeah,
she wanted to get out of the car, she would have kept going.
yeah.
I mean, the Secret Service agent comes up and pushes her back, but she wasn't trying to escape. She was just in shock, like in the moment, like she sees a piece of his head flying onto the trunk of the car. So she tries to retrieve it just out of instinct.
Oh
But
no,
yeah,
man.
him shooting, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, but like I say, even if he was the shooter, fine. I don't have a problem with who the shooter is. I have a problem with who ordered it. And if he's the shooter, well, then the government ordered it, and there you go. It's exactly saying exactly what we said. I don't care if there's two shooters in the building, a shooter behind the grassy knoll, a shooter in the manhole, a shooter in the car. It's all government
Yeah,
except Oswald. Oswald. And that's the other thing they try to say. Oswald's like innocent Patsy. He's not an innocent Patsy. He's a guilty Patsy. He did it, but he didn't know he was going to get set up to take the fall for it. He thought they were going to help him escape, and they turned on him, and that was the whole plan. So that's the only reason I bring this up, is to kind of head off this new theory that doesn't make any sense. And I think people just want some sort of sensational
no,
um,
I think that's just a test. I think
story.
they're just trying to dumb down people. They want to see how dumb people still are. For them to try to make a
Well,
documentary about
I think
this,
people
like,
want to have a picture or a video of the actual shooter shooting. That's like, to them, that's like crack to JFK people. And
but
you're not going to get that, right? It's not going to happen. Um, yeah, I
right here,
don't.
this, yeah, you can see it clearly. Oh, you don't. It's
I
glare for
mean,
his head. It's just like a couple of things. I don't know. You got to see it, I guess. But yeah, I didn't realize it's those three rows of seats. So it's JFK, then the governor, and then yeah, two Secret Service agents. But it's glare from the Secret Service agent that's in the passenger seat. So yeah,
yeah,
you have to look
that
at.
that
I'll
and that
send you this video. You'll be able to see it.
and that's what I thought. And I thought it was weird. You were saying it was from Conley, but I thought it was the other Secret Service agent that
Yeah, I
was
didn't realize it was three rows of seats.
right.
I
Right,
thought
there are
Connolly was in the front passenger next to the driver, but that don't make no sense.
no.
It's a limousine, so yeah, I can't believe they used this damn car, man. Frick JFK.
I can,
But
and that's the beauty of this whole plan. Is JFK wanted a convertible, and he didn't want Secret Service on the back of the car, even though they were always on there. And that day they gave him what he wanted because they were going to shoot him. They said, "Fine, you don't want him on the back? Great, that works perfect to assassinate you. We'll take him off, get him out of the way of the shooter from the building, Oswald, and probably a second shooter in the building, because you have two shots that go off in point 0.8 seconds from behind.
yeah,
Oswald couldn't have did both of those." And then the headshot, in my opinion, it comes from the manhole, possibly the grassy knoll, but I think the
I think
manhole's
the
the better.
manhole was. Yeah, I never thought
Yeah,
about how
because it
perfect a position that is. You just hit. You're
right,
hidden, and it's
right,
I mean
and you just crawl out 36-inch pipe. You just crawl right out the pipes. No one even thinks you're there.
it's the plan
Um,
B. You know what I mean? It's the last resort. You know what I mean? If the first two shots don't kill him, or if they
yeah, if
miss,
you see him get hit in the head, then you don't shoot. But you
yeah.
can see that that's coming from the
Look
right,
at
not the
that.
left. The driver didn't hit him from the left. How could the driver even make that shot?
You know, to tell you the truth, the shot itself, the way his head explodes, it really makes the manhole more even more plausible. Because
Right,
if it's a low shot, it takes
right,
off the skull and pushes it back. If it's a low shot, but if it's a higher
yeah,
shot, like from the grassy knoll, it would go directly into his head. It wouldn't really blow off his head. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the bullet would have gone straight through his head and probably kept it
and it would
intact. But if
and it
it's a
probably
low
would have been
shot,
a little more to the side, because the grassy knoll is more um, to
it's a
the
high
side.
point though, no?
It's higher. It's higher. It would be coming down, and it's more to
Would it
the
be to the
side of
front of
him.
him? Yeah,
It would
I
be
would.
no, it'd be more to the side. Where the guy, where they say the shooter is on the grassy knoll, is
Mhm.
more to the side when he gets hit. It's still front, but it's more side. The manhole is further down, and it's more. more to the front if you're shooting from the manhole. So the manhole, what we're seeing looks like it comes from the manhole. Plus, I mean, like I said in the past, if you're going to assassinate the president, you have time to set up where you want to be, and they did. The manhole's perfect because they tested it out, and you have them from the chest up to the head, and you're completely concealed. No one's going to even think about that. Then you can just crawl right out. You have a perfect escape, no problem.
See right there. Man,
Yeah,
this is such a horrible video, man. I can't believe they did that to this guy, man. That's so jacked up.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy to even see this, but then they withheld this video for 12 years, so they doctored it a little bit. Now, I watched the guy who's the foremost expert in the world, is Australian, on photography and the physics of it and video, and he explained what they did with the video. He said they manipulated it a little bit, but not much.
Well, they said there's a tree. I don't know if it's a fence though. They said there's like a tree that you can see at some point, and you can see like the the root of it, like where it's connected to the ground.
Oh yeah.
Have you
I
seen it?
saw that too. That was in this documentary, and I think what that is, I got to check on it
Is there a
because I haven't.
fence? Because I'm wondering. Yeah, because
I
that's pretty obvious if you if the tree's cut off, like for sure it's
No. I think
manipulated.
what it is. I think what it is I don't know for sure, but my first look at it, I only had one look at it. What it looks like to me is that it's a brick wall,
Yeah, I'm wondering
and
if it's
then
something
I
like
think
that.
there's part of the brick wall is cut out. It's like a design,
Well, let me see.
so
This,
that makes it look like a perfect rectangle coming down. That would be darker because the wall's kind of white.
hold on, I might have it in this. Well, it's in this the Brooder film,
It's
right?
right
So
here on the right.
let me see. It should play it. Oh
Yeah,
man, I love that
that
I can
wall back
control these damn
there.
videos now. Is it coming up?
Yeah, you can see right
Oh,
there.
there's the wall.
It's right there.
That one. Is that the tree?
Oh,
No, I mean
okay.
that
Yeah,
looks
that
fine.
that might be the tree they're talking about. So I think what they've done here with this new documentary, I think what they did
Hmm.
was they edited this video to make it look like that.
Like it's missing
Like
the
yeah,
stump.
I think they just edited with anybody could do this now where you can. I thought it was the wall. See how the wall has holes in it there?
Yeah.
So I thought it was just the way the wall was shaped, and
Uh-huh.
it looks like a tree that's hanging in the air. But
Yeah.
probably what they did was they edited the bottom of that tree out, and then they edited in something that looks like a gun. I think that's what they did to get a lot of clicks,
Yeah.
make some money. I don't think that because this video's been out, forever, and all of a sudden, people are starting to see things they never saw before. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, I just can't believe that somebody took the time to make a video about this particular theory. Like, this is so
I
easily
can because
debunkable.
JFK is just the thing's hot, and people want to believe stuff, and so the people doing this are going to get lots of clicks, lots of views, and probably get monetized and make some money.
Oh, they're just
Same
trying to
with like
confuse
the world,
people.
same with like the 9/11 towers. You got those people who spent millions of dollars on trying to explain how the World Trade Center was bombed and it wasn't the fire that collapsed it, even though they know that that's not true. But they're getting millions of views, which means they're making a lot of money. So
Hmm.
it's an investment that pays back even more. Is what I think is going on here. This is the problem we have. We've always had, but with the technology now, you got people who will lie, cheat, and steal to make money. And off of something like this, yeah, definitely you're going to have this. That's why I wanted to make at least talk about this a little bit today, is because it doesn't change anything, even if they're right, but they're not right because, I mean, so we're going to kill the president. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to have the driver turn around and shoot him in the head with
In front of
five other
everybody.
people.
In front of his
Right, five other
wife. In
people
front
in
of
the car,
the. Yeah.
crowds lining the streets, and and if you're going to have someone in the car shoot him, why wouldn't the passenger whose hands aren't? You know what I mean? He's got to
Yeah.
drive the car, turn around, and shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just have the passenger Secret Service agent do it, right? He doesn't have to hold on to the steering wheel or drive the car, or he's not doing anything. So it don't make any sense. If they said the passenger did it, that would be better because he would actually have a better angle for that shot to make sense. But they don't say that. So, and it's just because the driver turns around and the way he turns around, it kind of looks like, you could make it look like that. So it kind of does look that way.
Yeah, so
But
it's a combination of the top of the passenger Secret Service agent and the side of the door panel. So there's a glare on
right,
both, and so the side of the door panel looks like his arm, and the glare for the passenger Secret Service agent looks like the gun, and they just both sync up at the same exact time that the fatal shot takes place. So it looks like perfect, like it's just all like in sync, and then turns around right after the shot takes place, and so it just looks like, yeah, he shot him and then turned around and kept driving. But it's not. You could, if you just focus on it, you'll see. So just focus right there on the top of the Secret Service agent's head. You can see it right there. And there's glare. Now you can see the top of his head have glare. It comes in and then it comes back again, and that's right there where it looks like a gun. So yeah, you'll see it. I mean, you can't see it clearly right now, but just check it out later.
and don't get me wrong, it is possible that the driver shot. There's always a slim possibility that happened. It is a possibility, but it's such a small possibility that
Yeah, no,
I need more.
I don't think they'd
And
take the chance. I mean, Jackie
like I
wouldn't have
said,
stayed. She wouldn't have stayed quiet for that. I mean, like, take the chance for her to see that. Like, she would have saw that like clearly right in front of her.
right, and all the people on the side of the road would have definitely been,
Yeah. So this is just
telling everybody right away, hey, the driver shot him, the driver shot him. That would have been out there right away. But it doesn't matter, like I said, if it's the driver, okay, the government killed him. If it's the guy in the grassy knoll, the manhole, okay, the government killed him. The government pulled his protection off at the airport intentionally to kill him. You can watch him do that. So that no matter how you look at it, it was the government that killed him.
yeah.
So I don't care if it's the driver. Okay, he's just the guy who was ordered to do the shooting. I don't think it was, but I know the person who shot him in the head was ordered by the United States government to shoot him in the head, wherever that shot came from. So
Yeah.
it doesn't change anything. And then people get caught up. It's funny because people get caught up on the guy who did the shooting. Who shot him in the head? I want that guy. That guy is just an employee of the government who was ordered to do it. You get him, so what? You didn't get the leader. You didn't get the person who ordered the shots, which you got LBJ, um, the head of the CIA and the head of the FBI. They all are in on it. And those are the people who people should be looking at. Not, hey, where'd the shot come from and who shot him?
Yeah.
That's kind of irrelevant because we know that his security was pulled off just prior to him being shot, which means the government pulled him off, which means the government is the ones who orchestrated the shot. And there you have it.
Hey, Dan, give me 1 second, bro. One second.
All right. Yep.
All right, sorry about that, bro.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
I got a blink camera in the front of my house, and I kept
Oh,
getting
okay.
notifications right now, and I was like looking at it. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I didn't see anything, and then I get another one, but I kind of ignored it because sometimes it could be like a little bug or something, like a fly.
Oh, yeah.
And then I look right now, and I see my dog in the front of the house. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's probably a dog.
Well, it's my dog. I guess the side door, I left it open when I took the trash out today. So I was like,
Your dog's like, hey, bro, I've been ringing this blink camera for 5 minutes. Can I come in?
yeah, we got lucky with this dog, man. He's super obedient. He just stood right by the door. He didn't even try to run off or nothing.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
But, all right, so anyway. So yeah, I think yeah, if you see the video, you'll see pretty clearly that that's it's basically just a reflection. It's just kind of a fluke. It's just like one of the, like a rare thing, man, that it just kind of looks perfect, perfectly synced up, and it looks like it. But and so to have quality back in the day, that's why that guy Bill Cooper, who's he was pretty popular back then. He thought he was revealing like this big giant, like he was solving the mystery, and it's not. If you really see if you look at a good version of it, I'll send it to you if you need another look at it. But no, I think when they do videos like that, I think they do tests and stuff like that, man. Like to see how dumb people are, how gullible people are right now. You know what I mean? To still fall for even deeper stuff. I was thinking right now how I don't know if you remember. There was this video on I think it was an Animal Channel about supposedly how two 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 of two breeds of human basically branched off like from I mean back in the day, and one of them was a mermaid version. Did you ever see that documentary? They did
No,
two
one was a what?
mermaids. So
Oh,
they did
okay.
a documentary, and they didn't put like a disclaimer or anything on it. And so they try to explain how back, when the Neanderthal days, that one set of humans jumped into the ocean and turned into mermaids, and the other and another version became, who we are. We're walking
Right.
land, and they didn't put a disclaimer on the video on the documentary, and it was like an hour long documentary, and it's super in depth, and they try to show proof and they talked to scientists, but they didn't, and it was fake, obviously. And they did like a follow up, and people were like complaining. This is like like mid 2000s, I want to say. I think it was on Animal Planet, and wonder now, like did they do things like that just to test to see how stupid people really are? You know what I mean? How gullible we really are. You know
No,
what I mean?
they're doing it for money. Like people want fantastic stories, and so they'll watch it. Like it's like people watching Bigfoot or Loch Ness monster.
Yeah,
Those things do very well. They make shows about those all the time,
yeah,
and you get a ridiculous amount of people who watch it. But just a little bit of basic logic rules them out, right? Loch Ness monster and Bigfoot. No animal can exist without thousands of them because they can't reproduce without killing off the gene pool. Unless you got one of them that's immortal, they all died and one's immortal. So where are the rest of them? No one's ever seen them, other than these videos that people try to put out there that are nonsense. But
yeah,
okay, great, you found one of them, you got it on video. Okay, go search that area, you're going to find more. And if you don't find more, you're going to find at least the remains of more. They have to die, right? They can't hide thousands of themselves unless they're saying Bigfoot and Loch Ness monster are smarter than humans, right? They can outwit us. No, they can't. So so that's what they do is they
well,
just
I
look
remember
for
hearing that.
fantastic stories, and people are like, oh, I want to see that, because they want to hear something fantastic, because the truth is generally boring.
Yeah,
Boring doesn't get clicks or views.
I remember hearing a theory that kind of made it kind of make sense if that was true. If Bigfoot was real, was that Bigfoot was psychic, and that's how he's able to evade people because
he was
he
he
knows what
was
to do.
what?
He was psychic. That Bigfoot is psychic, and that's how he's able to. He's able to. I don't know if I read it on a National
Right, but
Enquirer or
once
where the
again,
hell I read
even
that,
if
but
he's psychic, where are the rest of them?
no. Well, that's how they're
what
able to
what
evade
what
people
what
because
animal,
they know what's going to
what
happen.
species what species has ever existed on the planet that there's just one of them?
Yeah,
And if there's more, then we would have found them. They have to die. Where's their bones?
yeah.
I mean, it's just dumb.
I don't know. I mean, there's a group of people out there, yeah, like you said, that love. Well,
Right. And
even down to
it's
our
more
show. I
because,
mean, our JFK show, it's like our biggest show. It got over 100 views.
yeah, the
Just
JFK, I knew that one would be the most popular because that's what I'm saying. JFK's clickbait, but we just do it by the evidence, by the facts. And the evidence and the facts in that one, actually, the truth isn't boring on that one. So it's weird that people want to, go different directions. But They do, and having someone with a gun in his hand actually firing the shot, well, that's more fantastic than someone in a manhole that you can't see. So that's people want to do that. You got Bigfoot's in the manhole. It was probably Bigfoot and a mermaid that shot JFK,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah,
guy, the
that's more
driver's
likely than
actually
the
actually a
driver. I mean,
merman. I swear, if we put out a video that there was a merman in the sewer because there's water down there, and so he could do that, and he's psychic, and he shot JFK with some sort of merman gun, I bet you we would get more views on that than we did on the one that's just straight facts, because it sounds silly, but people would do that. They would be like, "Oh, I got to hear this one," right? Because people want fantastic stories. They don't you know. And
yeah,
the funny thing is, like the JFK is fantastic. Like the movie 300, when they did that, that story is already fantastic. And then they tried to make it out to be this crazy version of a fantastic story. So
yeah,
it's just never enough for people. They need more and more and more. Now the truth is boring me, even though the truth is pretty dang interesting on a lot of these stories. Usually it's pretty boring, but some of these, even the interesting ones, they want to make more interesting
yeah.
by fictionalizing, and that's what this JFK, most of the JFK stuff is. It's fictionalization. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't know everything about it. A lot of people got murdered and silenced, and at the end of the day, the JFK thing is just this simple. You could get rid of all the other stuff, and just this alone proves that they're lying to you. The United States government still to this day is withholding documents to the JFK assassination. They say because of national security concerns. On the same hand, the United States government says Oswald is a lone nut gun shooter. Well, what would he have to do with national security then?
Yeah.
Right there, you don't need any video, you don't need anything. Even the people back in the day, before the internet, before any of this stuff was really out there, the Zapruder film, they should have known their government was lying to them. And a lot of them did. So then what the government did was say, well, the government started putting out disinformation. Oh, maybe it was the Cubans, maybe it was the Russians, maybe it was the mafia, right? And he pissed all those people off. So, those are good theories. And they just put that disinformation out there to confuse people and get them sidetracked off of the fact that they are telling you, we can't tell you what happened that day because of national security, yet there is no national security concern with the person we're claiming did it.
Well, RFK just revealed on some podcast that Trump told him like what the deal was with the releasing the JFK files. That he says that Bill Barr like begged Trump not to release them, and so they wondered like why would he beg him? Like what could it be? I forgot where I heard it,
No,
but
it wasn't Bill Barr, it was Pompeo.
was it Pompeo? Okay, Pompeo,
Yeah.
Mike Pompeo.
Yeah.
And so one like what could it be? Like everybody from that national, they said it was national security risk, and so they're wondering like, what it could be, like agents still in the field. They all have to be dead by now. I mean, there's
No,
nobody that
they're
could
all
be
dead
active.
now.
And so what
What
they
it
think it
is,
is, it's just really the credibility of our security state, basically, national security agencies and stuff like that. That it's just
no, I think
it
what it
revealed that the
is that,
CIA was involved, and the credibility of the CIA
right.
would be like demolished. So that's what they think
Well,
the
not
reason
just
is.
that. I agree with that 100%, but I would take it further. If it was revealed to the United States public today, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the United States government ordered and carried out the execution of a president of the United States, then the American people, what they're afraid of, would say, that's it. We need to clean house. You guys all got to go. We need all new elections. We need to look at all these agencies. We need to clean house with the elected and non elected officials. Because now they're afraid that, and this might or might not happen. People might not stand up and do anything about this, but they're afraid that they will, and so that's why they're withholding it. The fact they're withholding this information tells you they're guilty. It's clear as day. You don't need anybody with a gun in their hand to know that. We're not going to tell you what happened. We know what happened, and we're not going to tell you. That means you did it. I mean, Or you could say that the Russians did it and they don't want to tell you that because then the American people want to go to war with Russia, but they wouldn't want to do that now. So it's them. And it's just, it's them. There's no other reason to withhold the information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if RFK gets in there, who the hell knows what could happen? So shit, I just can't believe how much. Oh my god, like how much it could change if Trump wins and gets RFK in there and gets Musk in there and Vivek, and this just really is. I don't even know
And
what you call it, man.
speaking about RFK, so RFK, his father, the RFK, the Attorney General at the time of JFK, he blamed himself for JFK's assassination, saying he pissed a lot of people off and he knew they were going to get one of them. He just thought it would be him. And lo and behold, 5 years later, he's in LA giving a speech in a hotel. Um, he literally gets the nomination for president for the Democrat Party, and he's going to win, or he's probably going to win, and they can't chance it. They change his route out of the hotel, and sure enough, he gets killed. Now, there's another that here's your smoking guns. You couldn't protect JFK. Okay, great, you screwed up, but they didn't. They killed him. But even if you want to go with them, is that somebody else did it. Well, you're telling me you can't protect RFK either, knowing what happened already. You couldn't do that. Bullshit. You guys murdered them both.
Yeah,
The United States government murdered JFK, murdered RFK, murdered Marilyn Monroe, murdered Martin Luther King. And a bunch of people who had information about these events were also murdered. What's her name? I can't think of her name, but she used to do a game show, and she was a newspaper columnist. They murdered her too. She was at JFK's at all the hearings, and
oh
she was
really?
writing about this. I forget her name. She was very famous back in the day,
She did a
but
game
she was
show?
on a show like "Whose Line Is It Anyway?" Something like that.
Oh
It's a
really?
show, something like that. Anyway, they murdered her too. So she was found in her apartment, or her townhouse or whatever, like overdosed on some drugs or something, just like Marilyn Monroe, who also had information, knew what was going on. They murdered her.
Yeah.
I mean, so these
Well, back in
people,
those
I mean,
days, it was a
these
lot
people are
easier to
straight
get away with
mafia.
everything.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to what you wanted to talk about. We've done the JFK thing to death.
Well, no, it's still interesting. Well, I mean, I just kind of surprised that people are still believing that the driver shot him thing theory. I thought this video that I played right now kind of debunked the whole thing. I think that's what I downloaded it for because it was debunking it. And there's versions that it looks a lot better, like a lot clearer, a lot more like it was him. But I think this
I mean,
video was a lot
he's
clearer, and you can see
already
that it's
shot. He's already shot.
yeah,
Everybody's looking at him. Everybody in the car, on the street, the cars behind, the people up ahead on the railroad overpass. Everybody is looking at this now because he just got shot and they know it.
yeah,
And then the guy in the car that everybody's looking at. Everybody was already looking at it because the president's in there, but now you got a president who's shot. Everybody's watching this, and this guy can turn around and shoot him in the head point blank, and no one noticed. It's
yeah.
stupid. It's just dumb.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I still say that, I can't say 100% he didn't do it, but this is a 99.9.
Yeah. Well, well, this video right here I'm about to play kind of is on the same tip, just seeing how dumb people are, and they're just fabricating shit. So I just downloaded this video of I don't know if you saw of all the buses that were busing in people to Kamala's New Hampshire
Yep,
rally. Do you see that?
yep. They kicked all the people out of the rest, or yeah. These are. Oh, I didn't see this one. I saw a different one.
It says like 12 buses, and they're busing
Yeah,
in
paid,
supporters.
paid, paid, paid supporters.
Yeah, so hopefully, if Trump gets in there, they do an investigation on all these people. They really should find all of them and make them confess to how many fake events they were involved in, like down to even the riots. I bet you some of these people were involved in the riots, and they're paid agitators, and
Yep.
like all of them. They just have no damn. That's what I was telling you that one time, man. These people just have no soul. They just don't care about the country. They're just
And you know what sucks about this? Really sucks about this, other than this is manipulation of a presidential race. This is election rigging right here.
yeah.
But guess who pays for these paid people to go in there? We
We
do.
do. Yep.
Yep. They take our tax money and then they pay people to pretend to support a candidate for president that you don't support. They took your money to do it.
Yeah. So so it was kind of I was talking about this, I think last show, that they gotta give now just the impression that they're gonna win. So at all costs. So I think
There's
we're already living in a world that they're trying to create with the way they're how they're doing Trump, and how they're trying to do to Musk, and like but for some reason I think they still need a certain percentage of the population to believe them. I think they're still not confident enough to, unless they just need to get over the hill on on what their plans are, and as soon as they're on the other side and they got everybody locked down, they're not going to need everybody, but they need a certain population to still believe them. For some reason, I think they know that they're not, their plan isn't completely solid yet. Like they haven't gotten there yet.
they're not winning.
Well, just not right now. Well, I mean, their plans sort of still in place. I mean, they got a lot of people around the world that are going along with it. We'll play some of the clips that I want to talk about. And they're saying that all around the world they're rigging elections, not just in the United States but all over the world. They got
Yep.
a bunch of governments that are on their side. The World Economic Forum, but in the United States, and it's kind of a slogan. This chick, I heard her repeat a bunch of times that Trump made that line. They're not really after him; they're after us. He's just in the way. She thinks that
We're,
that's not the complete slogan. The slogan should be that they're not after the America, they're after the world, and America's in the way. So they
and,
need,
and that's exactly right.
yeah. So they need America, because we're the only ones that that still have. Like she mentions it in one of the clips, that we still have the Bill of Rights, we still have the Constitution, we're still armed, we still got gun rights and stuff like that. So we're the one country that can undo everything they've been planning.
Right.
So
And
then
that's what I've been
for a
saying.
little while they still need an ignorant population that believes them. So she thinks that that's why they're trying to divide everybody. They need division. That's the only way that they could do it, is by dividing us, and that's why everything's coming out right now. You know what I mean? Like with the LGBTQ movement, with Black Lives Matter, with abortion, everything. They're just throwing it all at one time, and they're just trying to divide us in every single way. You know what I mean? With the sexualization of children, and a boy, what's a girl, and all that stuff, like trans rights, all that stuff. Like it's all happening at the same exact time for a reason, because they need to divide us until their plan is it's irreversible. So they're not there yet, and I think that's what this is about. They got to give the impression that they're a winning campaign.
Right.
So this,
This is also, see what they're doing here. That's exactly what they're doing here. But on top of that, what they're doing here is, unfortunately for them, we still do have elections. And they would love to get rid of elections, but they haven't got to that point yet, as you're saying. So what they're doing here, this is the first attempt at rigging the election, an overt, obvious attempt of rigging elections. You're paying people to come and pretend to support you in order to get Americans to believe that you're popular, right? Now, the point of doing that is to try to get enough people to actually vote for her, even though she's not going to win. I mean, it's possible she could, but what they're setting up here is in case she doesn't win, they still want to be close. They still want to be close enough that they can rig the rest of it,
Yeah.
right? Because if it's a massive landslide, 10-1 kind of election, it's so almost impossible to rig that. They would rather not have elections at all, but
Yeah.
we still do have elections, so they need to they want to make the election close enough that they can rig
Yeah.
whatever they need to at the end. Like we're
And then
close, so we need this many votes, and we'll push it.
and doing stuff like this would make it believable that, oh well, look, her campaign, she had a big support, you know what I mean, like she was filling up auditoriums and stuff like that, so it makes sense that she won, of course. But so yeah, I think that's kind of, this is part of, yeah, I think they're for sure gonna cheat. So what I was
Well,
thinking actually this whole week is that Trump's gonna win no matter what. He's gonna win no matter what. But the question is, are they gonna get away with cheating? How are they gonna do it? You know, so
well, they did it once, so they're feeling pretty good about it. It'll be a little harder this time because people are pretty wise to it.
oh
But
yeah.
there's another video. There's another video where there's people on the street and someone's recording it, and they're telling them their buses are going by, but they're not buses. They're vans. They're white vans,
Hmm.
and she's going to some business, and they kicked all the people out, and the people on the street are the people they kicked out of the business, and they're saying, hey, they kicked us out so they can bring these people in. And so then they kick all the people out of the business, and then they bring in people that they paid to pretend to be customers of that business and that support her, so she can walk in and go, hey, how's it going? And everybody loves her, because if they left the actual customers in there, she's going to get a rude awakening, and they know this. So there's multiple videos of them bussing in supporters that are paid. They're not really supporters; they're just employees.
Yeah.
And so this is actual in your face election rigging. So where is the attorney general?
Yeah.
Where is he? Where are you, Garland? You're watching taxpayer. You're taking our taxpayer money. You're laundering it to a political campaign to create a facade that these people support her. That's a federal crime.
Yeah.
But nothing will be done because the attorney general's corrupt, the Department of DOJ, the head of that, the head of the FBI, the head of the CIA. All of these people are corrupt. I mean, I can't even get over Ray, the head of the FBI. This guy, what a piece of crap. He's a
Yeah.
piece of shit. You know what? It makes me mad even thinking about it because he's such a. All of them are, but
Well,
he really. I don't know why he really gets under my skin.
well, you heard
And
about
go ahead.
that Alexa, Amazon Alexa
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah. When you say, "Hey, can I vote or
Or
should
why?
I vote
Why?
for Trump?" It's like I can't comment on political candidates, and it's like, "Oh, should I vote for Kamala Harris?" Well, Kamala Harris is a good candidate to vote for. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, the question is, why should I vote for Donald Trump? And
Yeah,
Alexa's like, oh, I can't, comment on an election or
yeah.
be political or something like that. And then, yeah, why should I vote for Kamala Harris? Oh, because she was a great, a great Attorney General of California,
Mhm.
very accomplished, and her ideals are in line with the most. So
And
I
they've
guess they
changed it now.
yeah,
So
they
anybody listening to this, if you try Alexa now, it's probably not going to get you the results we're talking about. But this
yeah,
was the results before it went viral. So it's
yeah,
out there, and they can't stop it now. But they're rigging your elections, and they're doing it with the buses, busing in people that you paid for to fool you. They're doing
yeah.
it with the internet, Alexa. I mean,
Well,
it's so in your face, and it's all illegal.
well,
And there's
listen to
nobody going to
Benny.
prosecute.
Benny Johnson brings up because I guess he was the one that kind of started that whole little trend. He saw that video and posted it, and started making their own videos, and yeah, it was true. And so he was saying that that Trump needs to file a lawsuit. That's kind of like campaign, I don't know, finance, breaking some sort of election laws and stuff like that. Because basically, they're not paying. Kamala Harris isn't paying them. They're just doing it for free. So they're getting free promotion from Amazon, and they're not registered as some sort of, what I mean, like as if they've been paid, or I don't know,
Oh,
whatever the
it,
election
it,
laws are. But he's
it's
saying that
election
Trump has,
rigging. This is rigging of an election
yeah,
without a doubt. Because okay, Alexa's Amazon. or Prime or whatever, right? Or is it Google?
That's Amazon.
Okay, so
Oh, Jeff
Bezos
Jeff
doesn't.
Bezos.
So Jeff Bezos is going to do this because he's going to get the government to help him in his business, as far as like, okay, we're not going to unionize and we'll help you block that and other things. So he's getting the government's cooperation with his business, so he can make billions and billions of dollars. It just seems to never be enough, and the government's getting their side of it, where they're getting propaganda, election rigging. So they are working together. So
Yeah,
now you have a conspiracy, which is a federal crime of election rigging. So this isn't just a lawsuit. This is go to prison time. But
yeah,
the Attorney General and the Department of Justice will not prosecute
yeah.
their own people.
They won't
This
even
is the
look. Won't even
mafia.
look into it. Yeah,
Yeah, there's no point because they will look into what we made. I
yeah,
mean, we already know about it. We orchestrated it. They all know about it. They're all part of it. They're all working together.
yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah. So that's what I'm saying, man. I think for sure Trump's gonna win vote wise and voter wise, but they're gonna try their ass off to steal it because they have a plan basically, and that's kind of what this chick is talking about. Mel K. I don't know what her last name stands for, but she has a show just to kind of anybody that's listening. Just a file. Where the hell is it? All right, Mel K. The Mel K Show.
Okay.
I don't know what her last name stands for, but I don't know what the hell like her job is. Hold on, let me see if I can get more information on her real quick. Cause I want to play some clips of her, and I don't want it just to be random.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. Okay.
Yeah, it's yeah, they're definitely going to try to rig the election, and it's not even they're going to try. They're already doing it. We just saw it. That's rigging the election, paying people with taxpayer money to go and support a political candidate is a federal crime.
Yeah.
Eric Garland,
Yeah,
John
that's
Ray,
what
or
Benny Johnson
Ray.
was saying. Yeah, that
I mean, so
Trump could
this
sue.
this
He could
this
sue.
is, this is election rigging in your face. And the crazy thing is a lot of people, they'll see this and they'll go, "I don't care." Well, if you don't care, then you're going to get what you asked for. You're going to get a dictatorship, and you're going to be screwed. You think you're not, but I guarantee you are. Or you better get your ass up to the 1% elite and get connected real quick, or you're one of them.
Well,
If you're not one of them, then there's just going to be them and the poor. And the poor are going to be controlled by them. There will be no middle class. So all
well,
these people, all these suburban white women, seems to be the biggest group who think, oh, we gotta support Kamala. She's a woman. Well, great. Okay, she's a woman of color. I heard like a black lady going, well, I want to vote for her because she's a black woman, and I'm a black woman, and I'd love to see that. Well, then it would be okay for me to vote for someone like Hitler because he's a white man, right? That's what you're voting for, dummy. You're voting for a dictator like Hitler. It's like,
well,
and the only reason is because of racism and misogynist. I mean, you're saying your vote is based on racism,
yeah.
and that
Well,
that that never ends up good. And we've seen this throughout history. That means everybody who supported Hitler that was a white man, that they were totally justified in doing that. So why do you keep villainizing them? All they did was vote for the guy who looked like them. It's good. That's fine. That's all you need. Like, it's so stupid.
I really just don't think that
I'll
Kamala
vote
even
for a
has the
black woman all
support.
day. I'll vote for Condoleezza Rice all day. I'll vote for a black woman all day, but it's got to be a black woman who's not a tyrant. I
Candace
mean,
Owens.
that
Candace Owens. What's it called?
or
I just
Candace
don't
Owens.
think
Yeah,
Kamala has
there you go.
support at all, man. If they're busing people in, I just don't think.
Well, if you bust people in, you don't have it.
Yeah, then we saw that video we played last week of the white women for Kamala. They're doing their part, and it was only like 11 women. Like they don't, she don't,
Yeah,
she doesn't have the support that Trump has in any way whatsoever. I think common sense is
it's not even.
prevailing. Yeah, you
It's
see
not
where
even
anywhere that Trump
close.
shows up, they got thousands of people like just lined up, and she doesn't get anything like that, not even close. So
And he's been doing
they know
it.
she has no support, and that's why they're busting in people. That's why they have Amazon doing this, and they're just doing all kinds of foul stuff, man. Like, and they're getting away with it because no one's going to investigate it, like you said, and they
Well, you
like,
see, Mark Zuckerberg actually came out and said, "Hey, you know what? They did have me censor information on the 2020 election." So you
yeah,
have Mark Zuckerberg coming out and admitting that
yeah,
the Biden Harris administration censored information in order to rig an election.
yeah.
Where's the DOJ? That's illegal.
You know what I was thinking was funny about that? That so he comes out and admits to two things. That basically they had him suppress COVID information. But
Yeah,
that could have been right after when Biden was already president. But they also had him suppress the Hunter laptop
yep,
story, and that was when Trump
right.
was president. So it's just kind of messed up, man. That they just freaking really betrayed Trump, man. Like his own. I mean, I wouldn't even say they're his people. They're just deep state operatives, but they had him.
Well, and that's the conversation I have with a lot of people that they'll be like, well, the Republicans this, the Republicans that. Like I was talking to a guy at work, and I was telling him, the majority of Fortune 500 money goes to Democrats, right? If they're pro union, like because he's pro union, obviously, and he's like, I go, if they're pro union, why are they taking money from companies who hate unions? He goes, well, Republicans get a lot of that money too, and I go, great. The corrupt Republicans also get a lot of that money, who are also anti-union. Point is, you got one guy who's actually fighting for you, right? He's like, well, he's not so pro union. I go, I'm not saying he is pro union, but he's not taking money from companies who aren't pro union, right? And in your union won't matter at all if you keep these people in charge and you keep electing these people who are anti-union. They are anti-union. They're taking money from the Fortune 500 companies on both sides of the aisle. So we can pinpoint who the corrupt people are. And Trump is the only one fighting for you. Now he may not agree with everything in the union, but he's not trying to undermine you either. They are trying to undermine you. And it's like you need to wake up, man. You get caught on one issue. None of these other issues will matter if you're in a dictatorship. In a dictatorship, you get what they give you, and that's it. So your union will be irrelevant. Everything will be irrelevant. Your stance on anything, your position on anything will be irrelevant because you will be told and dictated to
Well,
what your position is, and you will go along with it, or you will be silenced,
that's one
or
of the points
imprisoned,
that
or
this
dead.
that's one of the points this chick makes in one of these clips about people, that there's a big divide right now on reproductive rights and stuff like that. Having this, being able to, pro-life or pro-choice, all that stuff. And she's basically saying that if they get their way, if they get away with everything they're doing, she just basically says that everything comes down to Agenda 2030. That's what the Council on Foreign Relations plan is. So and it's published. But what she's saying is that if they get away with it, this big division between people about reproductive rights, that's going to be taken away. That the people in charge are going to choose who could have kids or not. So we're over here
Yeah,
fighting
they'll
each other.
choose everything.
Yeah, they're gonna choose everything. So these people think that they have a right either way, and that right's gonna get taken away if they get away with this Agenda 2030 thing. I was gonna bring up real quick about as far as investigating stuff. So it was kind of funny. I don't know if you saw that Tim Pool is gonna sue the Kamala Harris campaign for
Uh,
defamation.
no.
Yeah, so I guess they took a clip that he mentioned. He said something about Agenda 2025, and I don't know if he sort of says that if I guess they sort of they took it out of context and they used it as proof that Agenda 2025 is going to make Trump a dictator and he's going to be able to kill people, stuff like that. And they played that, I guess, somewhere, and they used that as proof. So Tim Pool decided he filed a lawsuit and he made like this big old deal. I don't know if it was his last episode or a couple of days ago, like announcing, yeah, we're suing them for defamation. And then they posted that less than 2 days later or 3 days later, they put Tim Pool as part of this group called Tenet Media. So it's Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and a bunch of other like podcasters. They put them on some sort of watch list that they're like the, let me see real quick. The U.S. Department of Justice put them on a watch list that they consider Tenet Media a Russian disinformation
It's
operation.
always Russia,
Yeah,
Russia, Russia, Russia.
so Tim Pool sues, and right away they put them on a watch list, and they're investigating them for being Russian assets, and Trump spread pro-Russian propaganda through their company Tenet Media. So yeah, they're gonna investigate anybody but themselves, which,
Right.
if you're in power,
Anybody
I
who
guess it makes
threatens
sense. But
power.
shit, just the corruption, the obvious corruption is just off the charts, man. Like, they have no
Well,
shame.
check this out. Check this out. You have two people running for president right now. Both of them have been in office already. For the first time in American history, you have two candidates that you've already had 4 years of. It's never happened before. So you have a clear picture of what they're about, right? Under Trump, the gas price and the price of everything was way lower and your freedoms were secured. Under Kamala Harris, the gas prices and everything are way higher, and censorship is running amok. So this is the first time ever in U.S. history that you have two candidates who've already held office,
Yeah,
and so you don't. They can talk about, well, Trump's going to do this and Kamala's going to do that. We don't even need to listen to them. We already know what they're going to do because we've already seen 4 years of both of them,
yeah, yeah.
right? And
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I never
you've
even thought
never
about it like
had
that.
You've never had this clear of a picture of what you're voting for ever.
Yeah,
You never had this before, and now you have 4 years of it, from both of them. And so, don't go off of what nonsense you hear that contradicts. Just go off of what they did. What did they do? How was your life under them, and how was your life under them?
yeah,
Right? Were you better off under this administration or better off under this administration? Right? And that should be all it takes for you to decide who to vote for, because you already know exactly what you're going to get. And Kamala Harris right now is saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this different, I'm going to do all these different things. Well, if you were going to do those, you would have already did them, right?
yeah.
Just go, forget what they're saying. Actions are the truth. Words are lies.
Hopefully, Trump brings that. Man, Trump should make that point. Hopefully, during the debate, man. Like, talking when he gets the chance to talk to the people and like make his little case. I don't know if they do it at the end or the beginning of the debates. But say, you guys, the country's lived under 4 years of each one of us, and when do you think you're more free and more prosperous? And go point by point, like you said, like, with the censorship and the cost
And
of
just the
things.
price of
I'm
things.
pretty sure he's
You're
done
all
something
in
like that,
debt.
but
You're all in debt, right?
yeah,
Most of the people listening to this, or most of the people that aren't listening to this, most of the people in general, you're in freaking debt right now.
yeah,
And you go to the grocery store and you're shocked. It wasn't like that under Trump. So you're voting one way or the other for lower prices or higher prices. And the only thing that's getting you to actually question which way to vote is a bunch of propaganda that's government orchestrated. And I
yeah,
think, like you said at the debate, he should bring that up. But I think he should really make this point. This is a big point to make. Is this is the first time in American history that Americans can vote for somebody on either side that they've already seen 4 years of.
yeah.
So what did those 4 years look like to you? The pictures are clear. It's just that simple. You've never had this opportunity in your life. Nobody in the history of the United States has ever had this opportunity.
Yeah. Well, again, I just think Trump's going to win. I think he already has the voters.
Well,
You
a
could just
fair
tell from
election,
the.
he wins without a doubt. But it won't be a fair election. There's no way they're gonna not cheat on this election. No
Yeah,
fucking way.
that's all it comes down to. But I mean, I keep seeing like reports here and there that they've got like I don't know, I forget, I can't think of the name. I want to say not 100,000, but like thousands and thousands of poll watchers they want to put cameras. Charlie Kirk, I think, posted something not that long ago. They're putting cameras on all the ballot boxes and stuff like that. That I guess
Right, but
a lot of the cameras broken in 2020, so they're trying to
right,
fix
but the
that. So
problem you have with that is, okay, great. It's just like the Congress. We can put all this evidence out there. You can catch people cheating in an election. We caught them last time in Georgia and in Pennsylvania. They were blocking the window so you couldn't see them cheating. And the other one, you had video of them kick everybody out and then start pulling out ballots that were hidden and counting them, which is a federal offense. Even if they're legitimate ballots, we saw this. It was proven. And the same thing will happen here. You can catch them cheating all you want. You can have as many poll watchers as you want, right? And then you know what's going to happen? The FBI, DOJ, Attorney General are going to say nothing. There was nothing wrong. We investigated and nothing. We found no evidence of cheating or election rigging. We didn't find anything, even though it's on video. It was on video last time, and they said the same thing. They did nothing wrong because you have no prosecutors that are going to prosecute the people who rigged the election. So even if you catch them, you can have a million people watching them cheat and videoing it, and then give it over to the DOJ, and the DOJ goes, "Oh, doesn't look bad to me. Game
yeah,
over."
yeah,
That's what they did last time. So what's to stop them from doing it this time?
yeah, that's true.
When you got no one to enforce the law, you can catch people breaking the law, but no one's going to enforce it, and that's exactly how they've done this.
Yeah, I was even. I mean, shit. I mean, not to be pessimistic, I guess, but I guess I was even thinking about how they're they got a I forgot what the thing was called, that in order to contest the election, you have to sue before the election even takes place. There's a word it was called. I forgot what it was. But I was even thinking, like, even if they did that, if they sue anywhere where voting was sounded I mean suspicious, even then Kamala's already president. Like, how do you remove her? You know what I mean?
Right.
If all the news agencies already if all the news all the they already call it for Kamala and she's already president, she's already given her speech. How could they undo it? They're just gonna ignore it, just like
Oh,
they're
they
doing right
could
now. They
undo
just
it.
completely ignore
Oh,
it
they
and
could
just
undo it. Think about
how?
it
Who?
this
But
way.
who's gonna enforce
Okay,
it? Who would enforce
think
that?
about think about it this way. Let's say what we saw in 2020 in Georgia and Philadelphia, where they were blocking the windows with cardboard and stuff so that the people outside could not watch them count votes, and the other one where they removed all the poll watchers, told them they weren't going to count votes till the morning, and as soon as the doors were locked, they started pulling out ballots on camera and counting them, which is illegal. Both these things are illegal, and this was on camera. Now imagine these were done in Republican cities. The same thing was done in Republican cities, and then Trump wins the election. Afterwards, these videos come out. Trump's already been inaugurated. The public would go apeshit. The Department of Justice would say, nope, that's election rigging. We're going to investigate and prosecute. They would treat it completely differently.
Who,
So
who
they
would?
would definitely undo that election if the people the person that won wasn't the person they wanted to win, and they found evidence of cheating. They would absolutely go a million miles an hour to change that, and they
Yeah,
would get it changed. It wouldn't matter. They're going to get it changed, and they should. But with Democrat,
yeah,
and even it could have been a Republican. If Nikki Haley was running against Kamala Harris, they don't care who wins. But because if my point is that if you win and you're part of the corrupt government and you're going to do their bidding, then you're allowed to cheat. No one's going to prosecute it. But if you're not, if Trump wins and they saw the same evidence that they saw in 2020, but Trump's Republican cities were doing this for Trump, they would undo it. He would be thrown out of office immediately. They would
yeah.
they would
No,
make it. They would blast it on every news channel, all over the internet. The DOJ and would be on TV constantly talking about their investigations, and they would just drive it home so hard that the American people would say, "No, we have to get him out." They would make it so.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So if Kamala wins November, who what? This is what is going to investigate. I mean, elections to remove her. Like they got the person
They're
in.
not going to do it because she's one of them. So
Yeah.
they won't
So
do anything about it. You can have her cheating. You can have people cheating for her left and right on video, and they'll just say, no, we investigated it, and what you're looking at is not what you're looking at. Don't believe your lying eyes.
because
That's what they did in 2020. It's on video, and it's funny because I talked to some people who supported Biden, and I showed them this video, and they said, yeah, well, there's a little bit of cheating, but it wasn't enough to matter. So what they're saying uh, is that cheating's okay if it wasn't in my mind it wasn't enough. Well, how do you know it's not enough to matter? First of all, you're approving rigging elections, but you're saying it wasn't enough rigging to change the outcome. But how do you know? You don't have every instance on video. You don't know how much it was. So shouldn't we investigate it? Shouldn't we at least prosecute the people who did it? Nah, 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 nah. And the truth is they're lying through their teeth, because if it was the reverse, and even if Trump lost and they found that video, they would say prosecute him, right? So
yeah,
there's two standards of justice, and these people who are supporting this stuff and make statements like that, they are pro dictator, and I don't think they even know it. They're just like, I just want to win for my selfish personal reasons that I believe will help me, even though they won't, because you're going to get a dictator, and that you'll see that in the future if she wins, that you're going to be screwed. But they just want their own selfish way. They just want to win, and people have lost any moral compass about this stuff. You can't have corrupt elections and keep your freedom. It doesn't
yeah,
matter what side of the aisle you're on or how you identify. Corrupt elections take freedom from every single person unless you're part of that corrupt team.
yeah.
And you're not. Most of these people who support this aren't part of that. And your freedom, they don't care about your freedom. They don't. It's funny, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if even if like obvious videos of obvious election fraud came out, I would think right now they control most of the narrative, where they wouldn't even really play it on national news, cable news and any of the news channels and stuff like that. So they would just suppress it. It would probably come out on X. But at that point,
Yeah.
shit, you don't know how far they're gonna go with it. Knowing that they're gonna have the next 4 years, this agenda 2030, whatever, all the things that they have in place. Now they could be completely ruthless, and they might not be for sure an election in, what would it be, 2030? Would the next election be 2030?
No, 2028.
2028. Oh yeah, 2028. So there probably wouldn't even be an election by then, because they already have like most of the. There'll probably be a world war by then, and so they're probably gonna take out Musk, and so it wouldn't even matter. So it really just comes down to them being preemptive right now, and that just, I don't know how the hell they would do it, man. They just gotta have a plan in place to stop the
They'll probably
fraud, to
do it.
not let them even count the votes, so that it's so damn obvious that they can't even lie, that it will just really shatter the whole illusion of fair elections. I mean, it has to be something over the top obvious that they've cheated. I mean, it has to really be so damn blatant for it to be
Well, I mean,
effective. Because if
the
it's just
video where
minor, they're
the
just gonna sweep it under the rug.
I mean, the video in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe it was Atlanta, Georgia, where they said a water main broke, and it didn't. There was a leaky toilet. That's it. And then they kicked everybody out, locked the doors. Only people left were the Democrat poll workers. Then they pulled the videos, the ballots out from under a table that were concealed by a tablecloth, and then they start counting them immediately. That's a federal crime, um, and it couldn't be more obvious. You couldn't be more blatant about it. It's on video, and they didn't do anything about it. They said they did nothing wrong. So that scenario where you're saying that, well, if it's so blatant, they already did it. It already happened, and you're right. It was suppressed. I would be willing to bet the majority of people who voted for Biden have never even seen that video. And then when the ones who didn't, when I showed it to them personally, they had a way to rationalize it away. Well, it wasn't enough votes to change the election, right? So I'm good with cheating. It's fine. No problem there.
Yeah,
I mean, so they've already did exactly what you're describing. So why not just do it again? because there's nobody. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nobody to hold them accountable. There's nobody to do it. There's nobody that will do anything about it. All other people can do, Congress and the American public and people like that can do in news, the alternative news or the non-corrupt state propaganda, the stuff that's not state propaganda. All they can do is provide the evidence, talk about it, analyze it, and refer it to the Justice Department. Then the Justice Department says, we're not going to do anything about it. You lose.
Yeah.
And what do you do at that point? You have no, the only thing to do at that point is, I mean, really, the only way to stop that is a revolution. And I'm
Yeah,
not calling for a revolution, but,
and
you
that's the
know,
other thing. They're going to be anticipating something like that. You know, I mean, they're going to try to create another J6, even if people, if there's blatant fraud, people are going to try to gather somewhere and speak about it, and they're just going to try to J6 it again. They're going to get FBI agents in there, and this time they'll probably start shooting and try to kill people, and then that's going to be like, oh, see, now we do got to take the guns away because these people are just unhinged, and these Trump supporters, and that's enough's enough, and they're
well,
going to
they
try to
called
justify
January
all kinds of
6th.
things, if that happens.
I mean, they called January 6th an insurrection. First of all, the president said, go and protest peacefully and patriotically.
Yeah.
That was put on Twitter. Then the government pulled that off of Twitter so that people couldn't see that, so they can call it an insurrection. When have you ever seen an insurrection where people didn't come armed?
Oh man, I should have uploaded that
The
video
only
of
people that
Eli
were armed
Crane.
there were the government, right?
Yeah,
So
that
this
was
clearly wasn't an insurrection. What it was, it's funny because the day that happened, my brother was like, "Oh, look what's happening," and he was kind of like a little taken back by it. And I said, "Well, I go, all I see is a bunch of patriotic people trying to stand up for for the republic that's being stolen from them by a corrupt government.
yeah,
That's all it was. That's clearly what it was. Those people who did that were patriotic. These people saw what I saw: the election being rigged on video.
yeah,
We saw it, right? So they did their patriotic duty and went to protest. And then because they challenged power by protesting an election, they were called insurrectionists because the government needed to make it bigger than it was in order to prosecute and send a message to anybody else who dares challenge their power. You can be completely lawfully, peacefully protesting, and we will lock your ass up because you challenged our power. That's the government you live in, and that's the government a lot of people are going to vote for, and they don't even know what they're voting for. Some do because they're evil, but most of them I don't think understand. You're voting for a dictatorship. Dictatorships are the worst thing you could have
yeah,
as a regular citizen. And it doesn't matter whether um, you think you're on their side. You're not on their side.
yeah,
You're not part of it. They're just using you to consolidate complete power into a dictatorship, and at that point, you're no longer necessary. Therefore, you're going to be poor and controlled, just like everybody that you hate that supports Trump is going to be poor and controlled. That's the ultimate goal, and that's what you're voting for. It's bizarre that it's weird to me that people are this easily manipulated and led, but it's not actually that easily manipulated and led because they've been spoon-fed propaganda for years now, everywhere. Your schools, uh, your work, the media, social media, sporting events. You turn on a sporting event, and they're going to tell you politics. Why would they
yeah,
do that? Because they're being paid to do that with your tax dollars that the government takes from you and then pays them to tell you what to believe, which is not in your interest, but you think it is because hey, it's it's in an NFL game and I like the NFL, so they must be right, kind of thing.
yeah. Well, let's get into what this chick is talking about. She's so basically this chick tries to explain why they're doing all that. Everything we've been talking about, everything we've talked about in all of our shows, she tries to break it down to exactly what the whole purpose of it is, and she thinks it goes back to the '90s. I guess do you know anything about a Kyoto agreement? You ever heard of a Kyoto agreement? Something that was signed like in Brazil or
Sounds familiar, but I'm not. I don't
I don't
know.
know if I'm getting if it's the right name, but she brings it up. Kyoto Accords. I don't know, some shit. But let's just start right here. So basically, what I did, bro, I just recorded her rants. So I don't got the context of what led into it. She sort of just goes off. The host of the show, this guy named Seth Holhouse. His show's called Man in America. It's pretty good. I used to listen to it a while back, but damn, his episodes were just depressing, man. Like he had guests that were just painting like a horrible picture, and it's basically what she's talking about. That there's just a plan in place, but so they're talking about stuff, and I just started recording her rants because she just goes off on her own rants, and they're pretty long though, so you could just pause it anytime you get a thought, bro. Just let me know. But so I'm gonna play it right here. And on her Twitter, it doesn't explain who she is, so I don't know if she just has a podcast. I don't know. It doesn't say that she's a lawyer or.
Well, let's just hear what she has to say, because if she makes sense, she makes sense. I don't care about the credentials. That's argument from authority anyway, which is not good.
Yeah, she for sure knows her stuff, and she's like I think on the right track. So okay, so here we go.
Long and now, I think the elections in many ways are an illusion, and they are a very controlled mechanism. But if enough people are awake in America, then I think that they'll lose their ability to control things the way they always have.
Yeah, I think also the addition of RFK has opened up the, lifted the veil of actually how corrupt and vicious the parent company that runs America, that uses the Democratic Party as their front, are in this entire game, because they were suing them with lawfare, the same lawfare crew, Elias, Weissman, McCord, Eisen, all these same people are the lawfare crew that work for the parent company, as far as I can see. And they were going after them. They were $10 million worth of legal fees just to get on ballots, fighting them every step of the way. What the mainstream media was doing to RFK and calling him a lunatic and a loser, even his own, the Kennedy family, they're done for me. I mean, forget it. Blood should be thicker than anything, not especially when it comes to politics, especially when your family has gotten away with so much criminality from the beginning, from the old Joe Kennedy, before the Kennedy brothers, that changed our country, I think, for the better and paid with their lives. So we are at a place where it's a choice to not see that it is not left or right, Republican and Democrat. It is all about raw power and control over not just the financial system, but I think the natural resources. That is the parent company's goal. And they use the DNC and all these, people that are, we're going to lose women's rights, or, these people, or the LGBTQ plus people are oppressed in America, or, black women are superior to everyone else. All these different things that they pull out of the hat. It doesn't matter to them. All that matters is seizing power. And the next phase of seizing power, even on the White House website, is the global governance model that, the parent company has been working towards with the global stakeholders to regionalize the world, to control it and catalog it, and it's just very sad that we don't have people that understand. And, I say a lot, Trump says they're not after me, they're after you, and I'm in the way. And I agree with that on a massive level, because totalitarianism, which is what they want, will end up being that way. But my more important thing is they're not after America, they're after the world, and America is in the way. We have the Constitution still, we have the Bill of Rights still, and waiting right now for November is the worst thing any true patriot that loves this country, loves their family, their children, and want to see America thrive and prosper again can do. I mean, this is not the time. Like, don't wait till to show up and vote, or these people are talking about early voting or this voting, that voting. Get out there and start doing work now, because even in this late phase, I mean, it looks like we went 3 years without any work, but we're seeing exposure in everywhere that we know that there was cheating. And yet it still appears that nothing's being fixed on that front. Then we have Zuckerberg come out. And frankly, when I saw that letter, I thought, okay, that's sedition and treason and election interference, by not just Zuckerberg admitting it, but all 51 of those intelligence officers, the Penn Biden Center that coordinated that letter about the Hunter Biden laptop bringing back the Russia hoax BS. I mean, this is a giant crime, not against Donald Trump, against decency, honesty in this nation. So That's where I am right now. All these people that are, Kamala's great, I'm voting for Kamala, they are being manipulated by, Wag the dog. And honestly, people don't even know that Jeffrey Katzenberg and Hollywood are actually producing this
That right is
entire
interesting.
Wag the dog with Kamala Harris. They are running her campaign, Hollywood. So the powers that be in Hollywood, in Wall Street, and in DC are not separate. Okay, Obama made them all one with his celebrity, and then going into Netflix and going into publishing and all of this, and brought Clooney and all of them together. We are witnessing a literal Wag the dog when it comes to Kamala. And if you remember the movie Wag the Dog, which everyone should probably take a look at, it's just so obvious to me that this has nothing to do with America, the American people, or making America better. This has to do with deceiving the American people through an election and then tripling down on the last 4 years until there's nothing left here but us dependent on the rest of the world.
Unfortunately,
All right, so I thought she made some pretty good points right there. So,
That sounds
pretty on point with everything, no? Okay,
I mean, sounds like stuff we've already said.
Hold on, but she goes deeper. She explains it a little bit more. Hold on. I don't know which one it is. She does, like I said, she does like 5 big rants. This next one, that one was like 5 minutes. This is a 7-minute one. So I want to get the right one, man. So I don't know if it might be this one. So I'm gonna kind of skip ahead. I'm gonna skip one rant that she did, but it doesn't really matter what led to it. So just let me know if you got anything to say. I think composite.
Okay.
Here's the next one.
strange coincidence, but if you look at what's happening here, I mean, and obviously there's a sort of military application of this in the proximity to our bases, but when you see that, I know there's also, you've covered a lot of the other elites that are buying up farmland, whether it's Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, etc. What do you see as some of the bigger agendas behind that?
Okay, so there's a summer Davos, as you and I know, in China. And again, I have to reiterate that from my work, what we're dealing with now, and I call the parent company, is a group of globalist billionaire elites, G7, G20 leaders, and people that actually run those countries, not the front men. And they are all in on this globalist thing. So it's not one nation. There are people involved at the highest level in China, in Russia, in all over Europe, all over the EU, but also in America and everywhere else. They are power for power's sake. They don't have any allegiance to any country, any flag, any people, any religion, anything. This is like 1984, power for power's sake. So the first thing you got to know is that the only way to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals is to have a mechanism to police it, basically, to make sure that everyone's working in lockstep and that it's fully controlled, which requires the global public infrastructure cataloging and track and trace surveillance of all humanity. But again, what Dr. Phil's talking about with the buying up of land. So I just want people to know that, on the side note, that when we talk about the Great Reset or Agenda 2030, the Chinese Communist Party is treated as royalty at both Davos and at the UN. So for anyone to think that they're not, that this is some kind of, we're always told China is our enemy, yet Fauci worked with China to make bioweapons to unleash on us. At the top, they are not enemies, only the illusion all the way down to us. So let's think about it that way. But I believe that when Dr. Phil's putting that map on there, if you looked at the natural resources under the land that they're buying, we have a tremendous amount of oil and fresh water underneath America, not to mention many other things like natural resources and minerals and all of that we have not been able to touch. So much of the land, if you've driven, I know you have, but I mean, for people that don't know, if you've driven from Arizona through New Mexico, through Texas, some of these other places, Colorado, Utah, there's a tremendous amount of government controlled land that we are not allowed to go on. I mean, a ridiculous millions of acres all over the world are not allowed to be touched by us, but they are by them. And I really believe that this is about not just the controlled demolition of America, the weakening of America, moving on to the global model that Obama promised to his overlords, but it really has to do with liquidating our natural resources and using those towards fueling the digital public infrastructure that they need. And what I'm reading is between Google, BlackRock, Amazon, Oracle, all of them, all the partners also of the World Economic Forum, we can't forget, and the UN, are basically, in my estimation, gathering all of those natural resources, even the fraud of the natural asset companies, that these corporations need to take over this land so that they can conserve and steward it. You know, Hansberg Weiss and all his friends and all those people that are running that scam. You know, so what they're doing really is disregarding people. They don't care about humanity. To this group of people, the humans are the problem. You know, this wasn't just in limits of growth. I've dealt with some of these people. I am telling you that this globalist billionaire oligarchy that meet at, Chatham House and Davos and, in Brussels and in DC, they truly believe that, they have to manage the humans, that the humans are the problem, that, those humans, it is really dystopian and Pan Am-like where we are. But I would say that the American people need to realize, the farmers don't have water, not because there's not water. It's because they don't want you to. There's not thriving vegetation, clean water, internet, and transportation hubs and everything all over Africa and all over South America because the powers that be don't want them there. Not because they shouldn't be there and can't be there, and we can't pull all these people up to a standard of living that's fair and good. We just sent $200 billion to Ukraine. They want another $50 billion. And you know what Ukraine is right now? Completely owned by the global public-private partnership. All of that land, everything. And that is all this is about. I believe the same thing is going on in Gaza with Israel. The same thing is going on in Syria. The same thing is going on in Yemen. And the same thing is going on in the United States of America. And we are too removed from reality because mainly half this country is brainwashed and has been and got tripled down during COVID, that they don't even take pride or say, have the righteous indignation Breitbart told us to have about this is our home, this is our land. The whole thing about America is we stand up to bullies and tyrants. We had the 27 grievances. We fought that war already. And right now, those 27 grievances are all back in full force. And nobody is even looking at the enemy. They're fighting each other, allowing the enemy to win instead of saying, well, who is King George right now on the plate? Well, King George right now on the plate announces who they are at every meeting they have. And it's still, it is mind blowing to me that people can see clip after clip of the global governance summit or the summit of the future coming up, the UN 2.0 they're going to propose, or the World Health Organization, the UN, the World Economic Forum walking in lockstep with the World Bank and IMF and BIS. And we all need to have digital ID, and boom, they stole all of our social security numbers. So now guess what? We need to change the entire model. So everyone's going to have to sign up to have this new social security model. And hey, it's going to be a global interoperable digital ID that also includes your CBDC and your travel certificates and your vaccine status and your surveillance of your carbon footprint. This is all fraud. Okay. It's giant fraud, a giant money laundering operation. And the people of the United States of America do not get it. At this point, they're still, the other side, all they talk about is Trump. All they talk about is Trump. It's so crazy to me that people don't understand this has nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with greed. It has to do with these people that have been in power have been planning for 100 years for a great reset that they knew would eventually come. And they've been seeding it and seeding it and seeding it since the 90s to get to a place where we accept the premise of Agenda 2030, which is nation states no longer work. Global problems require global solutions. We are all global citizens. Without global lockstep solutions where everyone complies with this globalist model, then the planet's going to blow up and you're never going to have a future. It's going to be an anthropocene, whatever they call it, a dystopian nothing. Well, that's not planet Earth they're talking about. That's not real. And again, everyone's bought into it to their own demise. And right now, the American taxpayers are paying about $3 trillion all over the world. USAID needs to be audited and looked into, and so do all the other programs that go put the color revolutions. 64 countries are saying that their elections were stolen by the same people. It's the global public-private partnership running the elections all over the world, not left or right, Democrat, Republican. No, no, no. It's the people that believe that they are the stakeholders of planet Earth. They say it. Go listen to them. The best way forward is for nation states to go back to being sovereign, taking care of their own, making their countries as good as they can be, and redefining what coexistence on planet Earth means as soon as possible in a peaceful manner. That is the only way out for all of us.
I couldn't.
Yeah. How do you? I mean, I don't know what you felt about that, but I mean, she describes a lot of different things. But how do you sum that up to somebody? How do you know what I mean? If that's really the what's at risk?
I mean, I think the stuff she's saying, she added some different details, but it's the same stuff we've been saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because it's like I'm almost like hearing myself, but as a female. Like I love her just over the top frustration because
Yeah, bro. That's what I was laughing at. Like, shit, she's just like all in one breath. She's just getting it all out there, man. Like,
it reminds me of like some of the recent podcasts we did and how frustrated I was getting and
oh
going.
yeah,
I
yeah, I
was
remember.
doing the same thing. I was ranting like that and basically making a lot of the same points because they're so obvious for
Yeah,
anyone to see. And I think her frustration and mine are the same in that we're both just like, how is it possible that people are this stupid, right?
yeah,
And so I think that's where you're hearing the frustration in her voice, and that's because I know that's where mine comes from. I can, you can point out all these things, but all these things are rather obvious now, or most of them. But the fact that people can't see what's in front of their face is just that's where that level of frustration in her voice and mine come because it's like, what do you what do you need? Do you need to actually have everything taken from you and you be living in a totalitarian dictatorship world where they control everything you do, everything your kids do, everything everybody does, and you get what they give you and nothing more? And if you complain about it, you're going to be taken away.
yeah,
Is that what it really takes before you'll go, oh, they're right. What they're saying is real. What's in front of my face is actually in front of my face,
yeah.
right? That's what she's saying. That's what I've been saying. That's what you've been saying. A lot of people have been saying
Well,
because it's just undeniable anymore. So,
but
yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
question though. How do you sum up all that information, all that reality, all everything she's just describing? It's all true. I mean, people could fact check it, but I mean, how to make it like a coherent, statement to somebody to convince them, like, look, this is what's at stake, without sounding crazy, without it being like, oh, New World Order stuff, like, oh, you're just, what I mean, you believe in all that stuff, and like, when it's really happening this time, like this time, it's really, really real. Like it's all in place. Like,
I
so
mean,
how do you do it?
for me, on a couple, I would use two different tactics there. I mean, trying to explain every little thing there into one little short thing would be difficult. But I think the best way from my perspective, to do it is like this has been written about 2,000 years ago when John the Apostle wrote it as Jesus was told him 17 times, write this down. And John wrote all this stuff down. There's going to be a one world government, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're not going to be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast. That'll be your social ID, your social credit ID that she's talking about.
yeah,
So it's very simple. This was written about 2,000 years ago before any of this technology even existed. How did he know that? So it's pretty obvious that way. But also, if you just want to explain it without the Bible, but I think go with the Bible because it tells you this. It tells you, it describes all this.
yeah,
Um, Without the Bible, it's just basically what the way I would explain it to somebody is just they're obviously going for a one world government,
yeah.
right? It's just right in front of your face.
Well,
And in order to understand that, though, you do have to look. at all the different ways they're doing it, because it's a multifaceted attack on freedom in order to gain power over people. And they're and she said it, I said it, it's in your schools. They get your kids in the schools from a very young age all the way through college and propagandize them.
Yeah.
You turn on your TV. If it's news, it's government state-run propaganda. If you turn on a TV show, also government propaganda. You turn on social media, government propaganda. You watch a sporting event, government propaganda.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. You go to work, they're going to make you take some course in DEI, government propaganda. So the propaganda is really the smoking gun.
Yeah.
Why is every institution saying the same stuff? Why do they have a stake in this government propaganda? Why would a football game or a baseball game or whatever, Olympics, have a stake in propaganda? Why would different countries be saying the same thing? So it's really in front of your face with the propaganda, and the propaganda leads to a one world government. That's what they're going for.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a real simple conversation, and I
Yeah.
think that's the problem, is that people don't want to spend the time and to do this. And I think they use a lot of psychologists to get this done as well. So don't be mistaken. They're using experts on how your mind works in order to manipulate you. And one of the big things on a human being is denial. And I think people are in so much denial. If I just don't pay attention to it, it's not going to happen. They go into denial about this stuff, and they just things are going to stay the way they are because that's what I want. Full denial, even though it's right there. So,
All that kind of goes into
um,
that clip of or that concept that I was telling you about last week of the cognitive and the what was the other word? Cognitive and hold on, I gotta take a picture.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Affective system and cognitive system. So
Oh
your
yeah,
so your affective system basically is your emotions. Like so, basically, it's when it comes to propaganda, what they think that the Democrats and Kamala's using, they're using propaganda that affects your affective system. So it goes into your emotions, and that one's easy. That one's easy for you to react on, and
right.
have an opinion about, and basically create your own philosophy off of. But when it comes to your cognitive system, where Trump's trying to, tell you facts and give you information and basically talk common sense, stuff that makes sense and actually is more beneficial to you, that takes more effort for your brain. So that's why they think Kamala's kind of has an edge, because they're just using effective propaganda, which is just more emotional information and makes you just think, oh, Trump's a bad guy and stuff like that. So, the Charlie Kirk episode, they break it down a lot more, but I've never heard of that concept before. But I guess it's actual.
It's in all advertising. So I'll
Yeah.
give you a good example of how it works. So here's a scenario of what you're talking about. So you're watching TV, a commercial comes on. The first thing you see on the floor in a house is like a red pump, a woman's red pump, or a couple of her shoes, the red pumps.
Yeah.
Then it goes down the hallway, and then you see a red dress. It goes further down the hallway, then you see maybe a bra, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now you're already um, emotionally geared up for some sort of nudity or sex.
Yeah. Some sort of sexual manipulation. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you go into the room, and here's the new Mitsubishi car,
Yeah. Exactly.
right? So they sold you a car based on your emotional and cognitive or affective whatever response to sex,
Yeah.
and there was never even nudity or sex in there.
Yeah.
But psychologists know how to do this. It's in everything. All advertising
Well, I guess.
is, they use psychologists, and so they just took that same sort of theory and put it into politics.
Well, that's what they did with the Carl's Jr. commercials, right? I guess that would be another good example. Remember with those Carl Jr. commercials with Paris Hilton, or
Yeah,
all these
exactly.
models? They had them eating the hamburger and it's dripping all over their body, but they're just selling a hamburger, but they're using
Right.
sexuality. Yeah, yeah. So
What does a
basically,
hamburger have to do with sex? What does a car have to do with sex? And they'll sell products like this all day long, and they use other things too. But I
Yeah.
think that one's a real clear illustration of how they can get you wired to do what they want.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, there has to be a way. I mean, for all the things she's saying, there has to be a sort of structure. You could just categorize, if you categorize it in a certain order, like one thing leads to another. There's a way for people to to process it. I think easier and for it to hit their effective to use the phrase that they use to hit their effective system, but while at the same time actually delivering the information they need to kind of open up
I
the
think
brains.
honestly, I think though, if you try to do it that way, then you're also manipulating people into believing the truth, but it's a manipulation into it. And so for me, I don't think that's the key. I think the key is to is to point out how they're being manipulated into the lie, right?
Yeah.
And once you do that, then you can get them thinking logically instead of emotionally. And once they start thinking logically, you probably aren't going to have to do anything because it's so obvious. But then you can pinpoint all these things. You can actually sit down and write down all the tentacles that the deep state is using of propaganda and etc. All the different things they're doing and the ways they're doing it in order to get their way in a one world government. You could do that, but and logically now they can see it. But I think for people to see it, that that psychological manipulation you're talking about needs to be um, they need to understand that that's happening to them. If you make them understand, hey, I'm being fooled, then they'll start looking at things more logically. Like, I know this stuff about the psychological stuff because I was a psych major in college, so I understand how they use behavior modification and um, these sorts of uh, things to manipulate people. And there's lots of different ways to do it, which is a whole nother thing,
Yeah.
right? And they bring in these psychologists to do this. It's you can get people to do whatever you want. Like if you have they actually, funny, at our work, they actually had a behavior modification book that they gave all the supervisors when I was at another location. And I saw it when I was a foreman. It was in the office. And so I opened it up and started reading it. And it was talking about, it was behavior modification techniques. And I took behavior modification at Cal State. So I knew exactly what it was. So I told the supervisor, I go, you know what this is? He goes, not really. I go, right. It's so weird that they tried to get you guys to engage in behavior modification. It's not like you just read this little book and you can do it.
That's crazy.
But my point is that if you get people to understand that their behavior is being modified and manipulated through these techniques, you don't have to explain every technique. You just have to point out, like the scenario I gave you with the commercial with I'm going to sell a car, but I'm going to show you a lady's underwear and dress to do it, right? And that's being done to you through politics as well, and not in that exact way, but they're using this sort of same psychological tactic to get you propagandized into believing what they want. But the biggest thing is that they're doing is the dividing.
No.
So they're dividing people, and that's just more propaganda to keep people emotional. The whole point is to keep people on an emotional level and not on a logical level. If you get them to understand that, hey, you're being manipulated into think with your emotions instead of your logic, then
Yeah.
then the whole thing has turned. Because once people start saying, hey, and recognizing, hey, that's manipulation of me on an emotional level, no, that
Yeah.
means you're bad. Okay, I'm going to look at this logically now. I think that is the key.
Yeah. Um, well, that kind of takes it into that other clip that other episode that I wanted you to watch. It was the same show, but he's talking about how well, basically the episode theme is that that it's looking good for Trump, it's looking good for humanity because he thinks that we're uniting a little bit more, but he thinks that we shouldn't approach people that are Kamala supporters like in a negative way. That we should actually, because of the things we're talking about, that they're just we should try to explain to them how they're being manipulated and try to reach them, you know what I mean, logically, instead of just ourselves being, angry at them for being supporters and thinking that they're crazy and they're nuts and stuff like that.
Right. Because when you use emotion
Yeah,
to try to explain to somebody that they're being manipulated emotionally, then
yeah,
you just become part of the problem.
exactly. We get caught up in the same exact thing, and we really just get
Right.
nowhere that way. So,
Right. And these are all traps they set intentionally. And they have psychologists, probably some of the top psychologists, explaining how to do this.
oh hell yeah, man. That's well, they're think tanks, no? The basic think tank
Yeah.
incorporates all that stuff.
Right. And they have think tanks for, they have everybody in there, political analysis, economic or economists, everything, right?
Hollywood,
Historians, they'll use
they
everything.
probably
But
got movie producers and
what
stuff like
most
that in there.
people don't believe, what most people don't understand or they don't think about is they actually use psychologists, which is probably the most important one. They use psychologists to psychologically manipulate the public.
Yeah. That was one of the points she made that I thought was interesting. I started looking it up. If it's true that Jeffrey Katzenberg, he's like a movie producer. He was head of Disney like in the late '80s, early '90s. If they're really just treating her whole campaign like a movie production, and it kind of makes sense, you know, what I mean? Like how they're directing her to not do interviews because they know they can't deal with the gaffes that she would make and have all those clips. So they're just going off of, the affective system again and just going off the hype of her, like the idea of a first black woman, so-called black woman, president, and just running off that hype, and that's how she's going to win that. So they're going to justify her win from a hype that's been created by Hollywood, you know what I mean, by this guy. Like, I wonder if that's really true.
Yeah, it probably
And
is
it
because
makes
that's an
sense.
emotional. That's
It makes sense.
emotional. So they're using emotion to get people to vote.
And it's funny, you think about that's really what they did. They tried to do with Biden with that last that rally they did, or whatever the hell they call it, where Jimmy Kimmel moderated a conversation between Obama and Biden, and George Clooney was there, and Julia Roberts and Jack Black came all out, say, "I'm gonna do everything I can to get this man elected." This, I mean, it was all Hollywood celebrities. So it makes you wonder, yeah, like it could be true that just Hollywood's running her whole campaign. I'd heard, I
Oh, well,
remember,
Hollywood's been in bed with the deep state forever.
but to this level, to the where they're literally like, all right, this is what you're gonna do this week, and then like it's like a step by like a TV show. This week is one episode, and next week this is what you're gonna do. So that's why she's not doing any interviews. It kind of explains why she would be doing that. She's just following the playbook. And if she speaks, they know she's an idiot. They know she can't, fucking articulate a thought, what I mean, for the position she's going to be going for at least. So they're just keeping her away from cameras, and they're just going off of
Right.
a
And
production.
so a debate, right? So if you have a debate,
Oh yeah,
now this is going to be based much more on logic for the viewer, and the viewer's going to look at this much more as with logic than emotion because being um, they're not in a situation where anybody's pushing their buttons emotionally. Now the candidates can try to do that, but their logic is going to be their main filter on a debate. And they know this. Psychologists tell them this. If you go on in a debate, you're not going to have the people basing their opinions on emotion as much as logic. So it's a bad forum for you.
so
We
so
need to, you want to have forums that are more based on emotion.
yeah,
Because
the
if people
rallies.
look at things logically now, there's she wouldn't stand any chance of getting almost any
Yeah,
votes,
yeah,
because logically it's a terrible idea to elect her, but
yeah.
emotionally, hey, you got a good chance. So a debate it's predominantly going to be viewed through the lens of logic by the viewer on either side versus
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah. So I'm really curious. When is the September 10th? This is the debate.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I wonder.
I thought there was supposed to be one last night, but they canceled it. So I don't know when the next one is.
Oh, really? They canceled one? I didn't even know that.
Well, there was a Fox one, but they backed out.
Oh, that one, yeah, that was. I think she backed out of that one a long time ago, but she agreed to one. I think an ABC one. I think it's September
Yeah,
10th.
it has to be on government state run propaganda in order for her to have a chance, and they'll rig it the best they can. And when you watch it, you're going to see the moderators and her really push for the division and emotion. They want to get people emotional,
Yeah,
and Trump will be more logic based. But like I said, the viewer at home, they're sitting at home and they're not on the streets in the middle of a protest, or they're not watching propaganda on TV. So she would have to be the propagandist, and she's not probably that good at it. So
yeah,
it's going to end up being more logic. And so they're right. It's a bad idea for her because she doesn't have anything to stand on other than emotion.
yeah. I forgot what show I heard where they're suggesting like what how Trump should approach it, and they're saying that same thing. Just basically do exactly what he did with Biden. Just not really
Yeah.
be not fall into a trap where he kind of gets angry because she's gonna
Nope.
try.
Don't get angry.
Yeah, she's gonna try to do it, man. They've been playing the her debate with Mike Pence from 2020. I never saw that one, man. Fuck. I mean, back then, I mean, I wasn't a Trump supporter, so I probably wouldn't have been so mad. But just watching it now, like, fuck, man. I can't believe how calm Pence was. She kept interrupting him and just kept saying, I'm speaking, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. And the way she was smiling, like she was being like super like antagonistic, like just really like mocking him. I'm speaking. Like she just kept repeating it over and over and over. Like, hopefully Trump finds a way to piss her off and like do that at least like one time. Just out speaking. Like
Well,
just
if I
cut her
was
off.
him, if I wanted to push her buttons, if I'm him, I'm going to bring up the debate when she debated, her and Biden were debating when they were both running for
Oh
president.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
uncategorically called him a racist.
yeah,
So you're saying he's a racist, and then you go and be his vice president. So you're lying to the American public. You
yeah,
know you're lying. Everyone knows you're lying, and people will still vote for her lying.
yeah,
But I would bring that up because I think that might have a shot at getting her pissed off because
yeah.
you're
Something.
full of shit. You call the man a racist, and then you're happy to work for him and tell him it was been an honor to work for this racist white man as a black woman. That's what
Yeah,
you said. You said he's a racist white man, and then you tell us that it's an honor and a privilege to have worked under him.
no,
So I know a lot of black people who are honored to work under white racists. Like that makes no sense at all,
yeah,
right? Think about it. Like this, and people will vote for that still because they'll be emotional. And so, yeah, as long as they keep it, Trump should not make facial expressions
yeah,
and get emotional or angry because that's exactly where they want him to go. That's what they need to win a debate. They can't win a debate logically based on facts and policy. They can't do it.
yeah, yeah. So I think he has a good chance if he just sticks to the same approach he used with Biden. All right, so we're at an hour and 58 minutes. Dan, I got two more clips. I don't know if you want to save these or if you want to hear these real quick. I
Yeah,
got because
it's up to you.
there's one, huh?
We might as well finish it because it's on the point.
Okay, yeah, because there's a point she makes about data centers, then that I never really considered. Because I've been hearing a lot about data centers. You know anything about that?
Well, the whole what is it?
I don't think she brought them up in clips that I had,
That
but
gigantic facility that they record. They keep track of every text
yeah,
and phone
well,
call you ever make. Everybody makes.
yeah. So basically,
Dang,
her
I can't
point
think of the
is
name of it.
if
But
they're
it's
trying to
it's
do if they're trying to do what you've been saying also that they're trying to categorize or catalog. I'm sorry, catalog all of humanity and everything that exists. All of nature, and this is all they're going to need things like data centers. So she makes a
yeah.
point that that's what buying up land is. She tried to make
Oh,
the
it's the
point, but
NSA.
she gets distracted. She gets distracted like we do. She goes off on different
So
directions.
it's the NSA.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, she's saying that they're gonna need a lot of land, and they're gonna need natural resources to keep these data centers cool and all this stuff. Like so, she breaks down exactly how they're structurally gonna accomplish cataloging all of humanity and all of our information and from around the world and stuff like that. So she breaks it down pretty good. But I don't know which clip it is. I got two. I'm just gonna go with the shorter one for right now. And this is the. So basically, I think she does like 5 rants on that show, and the 5th one I've been trying to download. It's not working. But this is her 4th rant. I'm skipping her 2nd one, so if we got time, I'll go back to it. But this one's like 5 minutes long, so let me just get into this one real quick. Right there.
Exactly like me. But I mean, it's true, and we have to come to terms with it because, again, we do still have power in America, but we will not have power because the problem is then, there's a whole contingency of people out there that are looking at Trump and saying he's one of them. First of all, and there's people that I respect out there saying this, but what I have to say is if people think, first of all, they've never met this man, which I'm happy to say that I have, and met his family and know a lot of his inner circle. If they think that Donald Trump has not been damaged and changed deeply and spiritually and emotionally since he came down that escalator into a very different person, they have no idea that this man is even human, because he is very human. And he's very worried about his children, his grandchildren, and the future of this country more than he's ever been in his life. He knows that all these globalists want to kill him, okay? And it's not just him. Look at Bolsonaro. Look at Imran Khan. Look at all over the world, Lukashenko, even Putin and all these. I mean, if you don't understand that there's the globalist billionaire oligarchy above it all, that is really, really to be blamed here, then you can't even start to understand how much danger America is in. America is the problem to the globalist agenda. And all this stuff with globalism, people can't even pinpoint that it started down in Rio with the Kyoto Treaty. And since then, exactly like me.
Oh, shit. All right, well, I paused that. I'm going to have to forward it a little bit. The Kyoto Treaty. You never heard of that? Mm-mm. So I'm assuming it's so she I don't know if in the clip she explains it, but I think she said it was in the 90s. So I'm assuming it's basically the first steps towards this Great Reset, this Project 2030, like the first steps towards all that. So it started making me wonder if this really took place in the 90s under maybe George H.W. Bush. I wonder if this is what his New World Order line was about.
Exactly. I was about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if that's why when we first talked about it on the show, I remember telling you, like, making an emphasis about how confident he was, like the words he uses. When we create this New World Order, and when we succeed at this New World Order, and we will be, like he says it so confidently. I wonder if like they'd already started the first steps. And that's
right.
What
he doesn't
that's what
say that.
About.
He doesn't say it's time for a new world order until the pieces are put in place for the structure of the new world order. You put those in place first. The first step is killing Kennedy and seizing power in the United States and around the world. They're already doing shit around the world, and that's why Kennedy got killed, is because he got in the way of that, and he wasn't going to play ball with them. He was going to interrupt, just like Trump. So Kennedy and Trump are a lot alike, but yeah. So they've been putting the pieces in place, I would say, at least since 1963. Actually, before that, but 1963 was a tipping point where they seized power in America. They had already been toppling governments around the world and putting puppet governments in around the world before that. And then from 63 to 90, they were busy. Now that they have control of the United States government, and they started putting more and more of their people in positions of non-elected positions, then they started putting pieces in place to lock everything down. Once they got control of the law enforcement agencies on the federal level, that's probably when he said, "Hey, it's time for a new world order." Because now, like I said, you can investigate and prove all kinds of things, but there's no one that's going to do anything about it because they control the law.
Yeah.
So I think you're right with George H. Bush.
Yeah, well, I was wondering when she brought that.
I'm not sure what that treaty is.
I'll look it up, but I meant to. But well, I mean, she mentions that she thinks that they've been planning something like this for like 100 years. It was probably different versions back then based on technology and stuff like that. But
I think she's being facetious with that when she said 100 years. I think she's just trying to throw out a
what
big number because I think it really started. Honestly, this whole thing started after World War II because the whole economic system had to be changed because of World War II, and that's when
that's what I was gonna bring up.
the United States government realized, hey, we have an opportunity here to control the world. And so I think at that point, the idea started getting in their heads. So right around 45, 46, maybe a little later, that's when they really started with the Higgs and Bretton economic system, which is what the United States runs off of.
Yeah.
But um,
Well, I mean, just
yeah, so I think it really it started there, and then it progressed from there.
well, it just makes me wonder about kind of what the results were of like the world wars. Like World War One got rid of all the monarchies. All the empires. The Russian monarchies, like everywhere, like the German monarchies. And then World War II got rid of the empires. Even the British Empire kind of reduced a lot. So they slowly started breaking everything down. And then the League of Nations after World War One. So they started creating like a
Um,
world government. Through
I
the I
think the
think
League of Nations was after World War II, and that was I think, but I'm not
well, no, I
positive.
think it was after World War One, and then after World War
Okay,
Two,
maybe.
they changed it to the United Nations.
I mean, I know it turned into the United Nations,
Yeah.
but
So
I'm not sure when the League of Nations was made.
but it just to me it just seems like steps. Not that they knew that they would
I don't.
one
Yeah,
day
I don't
have
think they were
need
planning it
data
all
centers
out.
and they would have internet. I mean, not that they
Well, I
knew
don't
all
think
that
they
back
were
then.
planning out even a one world government at that time. I think that these world wars just created the opportunities, and then they realized, hey,
Well, I
we
mean,
can,
if
we can use this to our advantage. And so that kind of started it, but they still had a lot of good people in positions of power. So it took a long time to, you know, get get all these pieces in place.
well, I mean, if you do a deep dive into like the two world wars, you see that a lot of it was set up. What I mean, they wanted world wars back then. They basically created all the circumstances for World War One to be created, and World War Two. What's his name? Tucker Carlson's in deep shit right now for he interviewed some guy, this historian, I guess, that had like a different view about what's his face? Fuck, I keep just blanked out. What the hell's the name of the prime minister of England during World War Two? Fuck, Churchill.
Oh,
Winston.
Winston Churchill or
No,
the
Winston Churchill. So basically, they're trying to say, well, his theory is that Winston Churchill is the one that basically, instigated World War II. That he wanted World War II, like all of them wanted it, and that Hitler was trying to get out of it. That if you pay attention to, I guess, a lot of things that Hitler was doing before, that he was trying to sue for peace for a long time. That he was doing everything he could to not go to war with anybody. That he was even willing to give back the territories that he'd already conquered, Poland and France. That he offered to give them back, minus like the German-speaking population territories, whatever. And I guess people are considering that Tucker Carlson interviewed a Hitler apologist, so he's like in some deep shit right now over all that. But so basically, if there's any truth to it, kind of makes sense that they provoked World War One and World War Two. Maybe they had to have had a plan. There's no way they could have just did it, randomly and just sort of like, oh, we'll see what happens. Like they
I
should have
don't think
known.
I don't think they provoked those wars. World War One
You
started
think they
with
happen
the
naturally, just from
well,
circumstances?
World War One started with the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Um, that's why World War One started. So that technically, I guess they could have assassinated him in order to start that
Yeah, but
war.
you have to look at the treaties that were agreed to at that point. So knowing that because they back then they honored the treaties. So knowing what was going to happen, it just took literally like a spark like that, like assassinate Franz Ferdinand, and then and that didn't even happen right away. It actually took like a few weeks for it, to actually, people to be outraged about it. And then I don't know what, I think it was Hungary that declared war on, I forgot what country. And then from there, Germany had to honor it, and then from there, Russia had to honor their treaties, and so they knew one spark would start the whole world war. But the treaties they should have
Right.
already known, and the other thing was that they were already prepared militarily. There were munitions, whatever, like the build up, up until that point, like in anticipation for something like that to happen. So, but who the hell knows? So maybe it was just
Well,
profiteers that want war, and that's all it was.
if you
That's all it
want to,
was. And, who the hell knows?
I think you can maybe. I don't know about World War One because it did start with an assassination that sparked the World War. So
Yeah,
you could assassinate some, a really prominent person, and knowing that's going to do that, maybe.
yeah,
But World War II was started because of the Versailles Treaty that crippled Germany's economy, and so German economy was so bad that they actually went to someone extreme like Hitler. Otherwise, Hitler wouldn't have been brought into power. So there's no way they planned that out. And then
no,
Hitler wasn't going to give back shit. Like he and England was in no position to bargain with him. If he actually could have conquered England, all he had to do was stay out of Russia, and he would have been able to take England if he would have just not invaded Russia. But he got too emboldened with his Aryan superiority, and the Russians were so weak because of their inferior humans. He thought he could just attack both, so
yeah,
he stopped attacking England and started attacking Russia. But England, man, if he would have not stopped the attack on England, he would have taken England. So
yeah.
I really doubt that Winston Churchill was in any position to say, "Hey, you're going to give back land, or you're in big trouble," or we're going to get you because, yeah, the German army, if they would have invaded England by land, or over the sea by land, uh, and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, they wouldn't have been stopped. I mean,
Well,
the Air
they were the
Force,
last ones. They
the
were the
Air
last ones
Force was
fighting
good,
Germany. So for sure,
huh?
England was the only one fighting Germany. There was
Well, they're the
nobody.
only one left.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
point. Is that England took everybody out, and Germany took everybody out, and England was the only one left
yeah.
to fight them. And they didn't, and they wouldn't have even probably fought them if Germany didn't start attacking them by air, because they weren't ready and they were trying to build up their military. Um, but yeah,
Well, that's just the
the idea
controversy
that
right
World
now.
War II was started as a conspiracy. I know a lot about World War II. I've never heard that, so
Well,
I've never considered it. But I find that
do
extremely
you
unlikely. I
know
think.
do you know Prescott Bush's and Avril Harriman's involvement in the buildup of Nazi Germany? They were banking for them. They were
Well, I
funding
know.
them.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they they weren't supposed to have like a war machine, the Germany, but Avril Harriman and the Brown brothers, I forgot what the hell they were called. They were secretly funding them, so they were helping them build up towards that. They knew. No, Mein Kampf had already came out, so they knew what Hitler was
but why
aspiring to.
were they doing that? Right? Was that a conspiracy to start a one world government, or was it just some
Just
more
greed. Yeah, that's
racist?
what I'm saying. You could just chalk it up to that. That maybe there's greedy bankers wanting money. They're going to profiteer off of war. Or yeah, was it a
Or,
big global conspiracy? Who the hell really knows? But
or more than likely, in my opinion, I don't think it was about money. I mean, it's about money always, but I don't think it was so much about money or conspiracy for a one world government. I don't think they were thinking that. I think they were thinking money. Yeah, they're going to
yeah,
make money, but I think their main thing was they were in line ideologically with Hitler. They thought they were superior white supremacists as well. And
yeah,
so they wanted to fund this white supremacist takeover of the. I mean, okay, yeah, because Hitler basically does want to take over the world. So you are looking at a one world government, but not in the way we're talking about it.
yeah, yeah.
They were doing that, but they were doing it for out of racism. And right now, the one world government, they don't give a shit about race. All they care about is power, and what color you are is not really relevant to them, even though they act like it is, but they don't. So yeah, I don't. The World War II being like it was started on a conspiracy, I don't think so. I think World War II was started because Germany was so economically crippled by the Versailles Treaty, that the German people eventually turned to a really radical dictator type of guy, and he did a great job in recovering their economy, and then he almost conquered the world.
Yeah, no shit.
you know,
I,
so
I,
um,
World War II is one
that's
of
a
the
bad
things
way
that
to
got me
go.
really involved in almost politics, to tell you the truth. Fuck. I got really into that too, man. So I got researched a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of layers to it. That's for sure. There's a lot
I
more
mean, I
layers
never,
than
honestly,
it.
I never looked at World War II. I never considered the idea of like
Well,
a
just like you like to
conspiracy.
do, bro. Follow the money, and you'll see
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
what
I
led
mean,
up
I'll
to it.
look at it now, but I've just never even heard anybody even question it because it seems really obvious to me that the reason it started was we economically crippled Germany so bad with that treaty
Yeah.
that they were starving. They had nowhere to go. Their money was worthless. Their people were starving, and so you put people into a position where it's fight or die. They're going to fight.
Well, it was really the Great Depression, the stock market crash that kind of led to Germany even being in being in a situation, and that kind of led them to want a leader, a powerful leader, and that's what made Hitler powerful because he ended up being a good speaker, and that kind of led to his rise. And so people, I'm assuming the reason, Avril Harriman and Prescott Bush and their banks started funding Hitler was because they could see maybe a way for him to lead to maybe another war. Because Germany, that was fucking for hundreds of years. That was what all they were about was war. They were just conquerors. They're about like just expansion. And Nazi Germany was like the last ones of them. If you look up their history and shit, it's pretty crazy actually.
But their economic problem, though the stock market crash caused worldwide economic problems. That was in '29. Now the Treaty of Versailles, that was just on Germany. So Germany had the Great Depression, and after that during that and after that they still had all this money they had to pay back to
Yeah,
France and all these other allied countries. It was unreasonable. There was no way they could do it, and they were basically, I mean, they were fucked.
yeah.
And so you can't if you're going to talk about World War II and the cause, leaving out the Treaty of Versailles would be the number one cause.
No, yeah, that for sure. That was crippling them. But I'm just saying the stock market it made their situation worse. It made them even more
Yeah,
desperate.
agree.
That's all it
Agreed.
was.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, there's a lot of layers. So if you look it up, if you want to research it, look up the connection between Avril Harriman is his name, and Prescott Bush with Germany before the Nazis, before Hitler and shit. But
Yeah, I'll check it out.
all right, so hold on. So fuck, we're at 2:17. If you don't mind, bro, if you want to just play this last clip, I won't play the other 7 minute. I'll just finish this
Yeah,
one.
might as well finish it off.
Yeah, this 5 minute one. So let me see if I can skip ahead. I don't know how to do this because it's not playing like a video.
And he's one of them. First of all, and there's people that I respect out there, know a lot of his inner circle. If they think that Donald Trump is even human because he knows that all these globalists want to kill him, you don't understand that there's the globalist billionaire oligarchy above it all to the globalist agenda. And all this stuff with globalism, people can't even pinpoint that it started down in Rio with the Kyoto Treaty. And since then, everything's been global. And yet the FBI is putting out the U.S. domestic intelligence that's supposed to be worried about us is putting out an alert that conspiracy theories about Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, Patriot Movement, populism, the sovereignty movement, that these are the domestic terrorists. I mean, this is how far it's gone. And again, I'm not saying that we should persecute or prosecute even actual journalists, but people that are intelligence operatives that are on MSNBC and CNN and Fox News and are not telling the people of the United States the very real danger that we are in from above are criminals in my mind at this point. I think that the 51 agents and Mark Zuckerberg and Yoel Roth and all the people that said that the Hunter Biden laptop, which they had since 2019, and they all knowingly lied to the American people a month before the 2020 election in lockstep, took all our voices offline, and stole an election. Okay, whether you want to say that it's the mountains of evidence about the ballots or that the Democrats did a movie on HBO called Kill Chain before the 2016 election saying that all the elections were fraudulent. Well, boom, after they put the corporatocracy chosen Joe Biden, what's his name? Larry Fink gave the blessing to on January 19th. We all knew what was coming, and that's a year before the election. If people don't understand that is what happened here, and that we have the only power we have left is locally, and
You know anything about that right there?
About which part?
Larry Fink, I guess, did he make a statement about Biden being president maybe in 2019 or something? Larry Fink is the head of BlackRock, right?
Yeah, he's the head of BlackRock.
Yeah, so I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know if you ever heard about anything like that.
I
If he made an
I mean,
announcement that Biden was going to be president like in
I mean, that
2019,
doesn't surprise me because
yeah.
he was the vice president. So, I think a lot of people made that, but
No,
but
in 2019, so for the 2020 election,
right. But there's a lot of people who said that, a lot of politicians were saying that. You know what I mean?
that Biden will
Doesn't
be the
mean
next one.
doesn't mean that it's huh.
I see what you're saying. That Biden was the vice president, so he
All
has
he's
better.
saying is, basically, you can construe that as, hey, I think Biden's going to win the election.
Oh,
Doesn't
okay.
mean that Larry Fink is saying, hey, I'm going to rig it, or we're going to rig it for Biden. He probably was going to rig it for Biden,
Yeah,
and
that's
it
what I was about
did,
to say.
but you can't really say out of that statement that he's saying that.
Oh, okay. Well, I wonder if that's what it was. I'm pretty sure that's what she's talking about, though. Something about Biden.
locally we can do a lot of damage. But they came into our local communities before they went to DC and put it out in the open. Why is there an LGBTQ plus movement? Why is there a left versus right, or a woman versus man, or men? And why are we dividing ourselves by design on purpose? Like he said, at the end of the day, I don't think real people really give a crap about your color, about your sexuality, about any of that. They just want to live their lives as they see fit and be left alone by a government. This government now, as Larry Fink said himself, is there to force behavior to benefit the people that control everything above them. And the fact that the American people have not united in disgust and risen up over the surveillance state, the very weaponized police surveillance state that came out of the totally unconstitutional Patriot Act, and then all of the agencies spawn. Like, that DHS needs to be looked into. Anyone should go online and go on that website. It is an all-encompassing thing. And don't forget, all of it was established in a concept of a war on a tactic, war on terror. Terror was never defined as a person. So Obama and Holder had the ability to jump in there and then fine-tune all of that to be only against those that were against the ideology that.
I thought that was interesting. You know anything about that?
Well, which part?
The war on terror that was never clearly defined, what it was about, So therefore, she's saying that when Obama became president, that they changed the definition to now include domestic terrorists, like patriots and stuff like that.
Right. When they say war on terror, you could have whoever coined that phrase, saying it earnestly, we know what you're talking about, but it's ambiguous or vague,
Yeah.
and so then bad people, and the person who coined it might have been a bad person. I don't know who coined it, and then bad people can run with that and say, hey, this is a very vague term, so let's expand it into, even though we know the American people know what we're saying when we say war on terror, we're just going to expand it and say, oh, we mean terror, anything. It could be, you disagree with the government. Oh, that's terrorism.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I never thought about that. Yeah. Because, you would think if there's a war on terror where they actually going to war with other countries, that it would be some sort of written policy which defined it. But yeah, if they left it kind of vague like that, then
it's best to leave it vague and ambiguous. That way you can have a lot of latitude to do a lot of nasty things.
Well, that's pretty crazy.
They wanted to perpetuate, to move our country towards this global public-private partnership that they are obviously involved in, to the end game. And again, I believe both Bushes, Clinton, Obama, Biden, all of them have always been involved all the way back to Rio in the 90s into where we are getting now, the Great Reset. So seeing those globalist terms defined as disinformation, misinformation, and red flags for domestic terror and militias tells you everything you need to know at this point.
It really does, but it also tells you,
All right,
especially when I hear him speaking.
Fucking, let's go with 2.5 hours, bro. I got just one more clip, bro. Just since we're already in there, do you mind?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, here we go. This is next. This is the last one I got. I got one more, but it's just not uploading. I might have recorded it wrong. So here we go.
6 months early, then 1 day late. So call no result today at the show's description.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with the military-industrial complex. 3- and 4-star generals come out and go to work for Raytheon. And, I also think that we need to, as Americans, and people are sitting there clapping.
Shit, I messed up right there. Hold on.
Today at the show's description.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with the military-industrial complex. 3- and 4-star generals come out and go to work for Raytheon. And, I also think that we need to, as American people, demand that lobbying be outlawed and made.
I've been saying that for a long time. I never understood how the hell lobbying is allowed. Like, to me, I mean, if the definition of fascism is the combination of corporatism and government, how the hell isn't that like that? You know what I mean? How isn't that fascism for corporations to be able to come and literally give money to a congressman or a politician to vote a certain way? Like, I never understood how the hell that's been allowed this entire time. Like,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know what I mean?
The American people hire them, and then rich people come in and tell them what to do.
And she says that right now. She says basically that they should be listening to the way it's set up right now, that they listen to corporations first and then the people. But it shouldn't be like that.
Right.
They should be listening to the people first, and corporations shouldn't
Well, they
be
don't
considered.
listen to the people at all.
Yeah, at this point, it's just.
It's funny. We vote for people. We vote for people, send them to Washington so that rich people can tell these people we voted for what to do. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. So she calls it out, man. But I've been wondering that for the longest time, man. I never understood how the hell.
Yeah, I don't have any good explanation for why we need lobbyists. Yeah. I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Legal. There is no reason that elected officials should first listen to lobbyists and then second think tanks, which if they want to have think tanks, they can have think tanks, but don't give $1 of taxpayer funds from any agency to think tanks. Let them be private and let them be transparent. But the lobbying thing is, I think, the one thing in America that we, the people, can demand stops. It is legalized bribery. It is the number one thing that corrupts D.C. more than almost anything else, including because the lobbying is really about what benefits the public-private partnership at this point or foreign governments. And I'm glad that you brought up this whole thing because there's a big difference. They hijacked all the way back. It was a scheme in Rio back in the day with Clinton and Gore and the carbon capture, and then Skoll participant media doing the Inconvenient Truth 1 and 2, which were filled with BS. And we know all the way back to the Limits of Growth and Club of Rome. So we're at a place where the illusion of scarcity or that we're going to the planet's going to die and all this stuff is a fraud. But the tremendous damage done to our waters, our air, our crops. I mean, I've driven across the country now 3 times. There are tens of thousands of acres of abandoned farmland in America that's just sitting there dying, dead. That is a choice. That is not, that is a choice. And then you look at other things like, Obama and Biden signed up for Agenda 2030, and they are trying to lead the way, as per the White House website, Biden-Harris Global Goals document on the website from September 2023 with, $3 trillion all allocated to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals going to all globalist organizations, including the World Bank and all these different World Economic Forum partners. I see no daylight between BlackRock and the World Economic Forum at this point at all. in terms of their end goals. And yet that corporation never gets questioned by anyone. They are above the law in America and running the parent company with, a handful of other billionaires. You've got, Reid Hoffman, Benioff, obviously Schmidt, Gates, Bezos. These people are dominating the agenda and legislation, and everything that's happening to us in America is, I believe, to their benefit. And people still don't even see that, and they're fighting each other on the ground and their neighbors, and don't even understand, like, this isn't about Trump or Kamala. This is about you. And the other thing I want to bring up, and I want everyone to know that the FBI has added a bunch of things to their red flag list of domestic terrorists and militia terrorists from their new post-Trump anti-government, anti-authority task force, which, of course, all of our founders would have been on that list as well, in the Quiet Skies list. We have to be clear about. But what's really happening is that they've added Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, Patriot Movement, New World Order, globalization as buzzwords, red flag words for domestic terrorists. And they call us isolationists, I mean, it's all BS. You can just go through RAND Corporation or Council of Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, go all the way up to the Bank of International Settlements and all the tentacles of the UN. They all have the exact same language. So to think that these are domestic terror things, no. There are people that are trying to tell the world that the agenda is real, that the agenda has been playing out before their eyes. The whole world is walking in lockstep, as we saw with Build Back Better and the Great Reset, as Klaus Schwab wrote the Great Reset, COVID-19, the Great Reset. He wrote the book. And then he wrote the book, The Great Narrative, about controlling the narrative, censorship and all of that they need to control that. And then to achieve the fourth industrial revolution, the track and trace surveillance of all humanity, all natural resources, all animals, insects, plants, water. They want to catalog all of us and then control us on a global digital infrastructure on a massive scale using AI. This is all built. They talk about it all the time. They brag about it all the time. And the person that is going to facilitate it, as Obama signed on without the consent of the governed, without explaining what Agenda 21 or 2030 was, now they want this Kamala to be the person to usher it in. And people are sitting there clapping like, well, she's going to save women's rights. Well, guess what? If these people get what they want, they're going to decide who can procreate. So all these people that are now the ban abortion or die, I'm not voting for Trump voters, don't even understand. You're not going to be able to choose who has children anymore. That is what the infrastructure is about. That is what these people at heart are eugenicists that create scarcity to control people. There is no scarcity of money, of land, of water, of any. It's not real. But it is real that these people with the 30 on 30 plan are gathering up all land on planet Earth, 30% more than they already control. And frankly, I believe that people are being so deceived because it's about what's under the land. It's not about the farmland. It's not about the water. It is about what they need it for, which is the digital public infrastructure, the data centers, the air conditioning to keep the data centers cool, the amount of energy, electricity, fossil fuels they need to pull off this global infrastructure requires a tremendous amount of natural resources. Then with electrifying everything with the Internet of Body, Internet of Things to achieve the fourth industrial revolution, they need to control every natural resource on planet Earth. It is not about saving the planet. It is about controlling the planet from the top down. And I don't understand at this point. I mean, there's no mainstream media even suggesting to the American people, including Fox News, that this is not about anything but liquidating the United States of everything that matters and keeping us as some kind of military industrial complex, manufacturing center without anything else. And this is going very fast, and people do not see the fact and the truth in this.
Well, it's like if you want to.
All right, that's the last one I had. But yeah, man, I thought she was just on point on a lot of stuff, man. She just put a lot of things in perspective, even though it's so much information in every single direction, man. But yeah, like you said, bro, it's a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. So yeah,
Yeah,
thought it
I
was pretty
think
good, man.
her thing, one thing I think she's missing there. Well, she's not missing it, but the way she said it, I would say she said it wrong. Is and now they want Kamala Harris to usher this stuff in. It's not, no, they don't want Kamala Harris. They just need someone who sits in that chair, is the president of the United States with no power,
Yeah,
right? We just need so that the people think that, hey, they have a actual leader, that they know who it is. That's all that is. It's just someone sitting in a chair that's not really in charge of anything.
yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about that too, man. Doesn't this really kind of make Kamala Harris like probably the worst human being in human history? Like she's willing to be just the puppet, just the 100% puppet. She knows she's not going to make any decisions. She just wants to.
Well,
She's
Biden was the same thing.
well. I was wondering about him. Him at least, he kind of got defiant at the end. He wanted to still run for president. I mean, I know he's vacationed more than any president in the United States. So somebody else has been running the country. But I mean, I would think he's still sort of. Nah, I guess you're right. I guess both of them. But at
He
this
he was
point,
he was, before Biden ran for president. I mean, someone had brought up the idea of Biden running for president. In my mind, and I'm pretty good about this stuff, about being able to pick out who could win and who can't. In my mind, it was like there's zero chance this guy could win a presidential election. So I thought it was laughable. I'm like, yeah, right. They're going to run Biden. Why would you run that guy?
yeah,
He's terrible. Like he's not very charismatic at all. He has zero chance of winning an election. And then they ran him, and I was like, okay, well, this is an easy win. and
yeah,
and then they rigged it. They're like, oh, okay, all right. So
yeah,
basically, he didn't choose to run; he was told to run, and he has no problem with it. Yeah, great. I'll be the president. And then I'll be able to enrich myself even more and all that. So he was fine with it. But he
yeah,
knew all along when he was running for president that he's not going to be in charge of anything, and he's not. Anything he ever did, or the United States did while he was president, was other people that made those decisions. He made none,
yeah.
and he knew that going in. And
Well,
running for re-election, they told him to do that. Keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it. So I thought they were gonna push Newsom. I was wrong about that, but I knew that he would step down, and and I knew it would be late in the game, because then it's too late for the American people to have much choice on who they're running for. And so with Kamala Harris, you could see that. So they do it real late in the game. Um, and then you don't have a lot of time to vet her, and then she just avoids interviews and debates as much as possible, and so people don't have much to vote for, right?
yeah,
So they don't know what they're voting for, and then they just keep demonizing Trump and propagandizing him. He's a
yeah,
bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Vote for this other person that you don't know.
yeah, yeah.
And that's why Biden stayed in the game so long, and they pretended like he was not senile until it was time to make the switch. Then they're like, "Oh my God, we didn't see this all along. He's senile. All right, we got to bring in Kamala Harris. Don't
Yeah.
worry about who she is. Just vote for her.
Yeah,
She's
I
not Trump.
guess. Yeah, you could look at it that way. Yeah, he was probably just covering for her until the last minute.
He's doing what he's told, same as she.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
The
in
president of the United
context,
States is no longer in power, unless it was Trump. But other than that, they're not in power. And they know it. She knows full well, running for president, that she is not going to be making any decisions.
well,
And if she has an idea, she's going to have to prove it with her boss.
yeah,
But there's supposed to be no one above her.
that's what I was gonna say. In context of what with Mel K right here was saying that, yeah, basically the plan's already laid out. Like they already know what they're gonna do. They just, as far as the United States, they just need a puppet, just so somebody that knows they're not gonna make any decisions. They're just gonna sit on that throne and be the face. But in reality, all the decisions have already been made. So
And the scariest part of all this is that they messed up with Trump when he ran the first time. They could have stopped him, but they
yeah,
didn't take him seriously, right? I
yeah,
mean, there was a lot of propaganda on TV about what a joke it was, but they didn't really go full on. And he's one of 17, and they're like, there's so many more qualified people, blah blah. American people aren't going to nominate him, and they did, and then he fucking won. And now he's been messing up their plans, man. They had all their seeds in place. Their new world order has begun. They had all the pieces in place, and
yeah,
they have these timelines. And he fucked up their timeline, and they're going, this ain't ever going to happen again. So if
yeah,
he doesn't get in this time, it's over.
yeah.
They will never allow something like that to happen. They'll never allow a person to become president of the United States again who actually makes decisions.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, man. Like, what if he never ran? What if he just didn't? What if he stood out of it? It would have been Hillary or Jeb, and
Yeah, and
all this
either
shit.
way, that would have been the the billionaire oligarchy as she describes. That's she's been running it all along.
No.
But we just didn't know that. If he didn't run, we might not be having these conversations
Yeah,
because the
that's what I was
fact that he
thinking.
did it forced them out of the shadows.
Yeah, I think COVID would have been a lot worse. Musk would have
You
never
might not
bought
have had
Twitter,
COVID
so
at
they would.
all. You might not have had COVID at all.
Well, no, I mean, I think that might have been part of their plan. Like, it's basically to get everybody. You know, they tried. I think they killed a lot of people with the vaccines and with COVID. So they want to depopulate, and then with that the plan was still to vaccinate people and make sure that everybody's still compliant and listening. Otherwise face their wrath. So it could have still been part of the plan, but. Yeah, I wonder a lot about what the hell could have. I've even been thinking about fuck. What if Trump had been fucking killed on July 13th, man? Like, what if that would have happened? Like, fuck. Like, I mean, I could picture.
Well,
That's I guess a whole nother topic, bro. We're already at 2 hours and 40 minutes, my brother. So we'll
this is
we'll
our
pick this
longest
shit
one.
back up. But I
All
think
right.
we'll end it on the points that you made, man. But yeah, they're just puppets and. Plans already set. They're just gonna be the puppets for these globalists.
Yeah.
So, all right, Dan. Good show again, bro. We talked about a lot of
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Good show, brother.
So then, we'll chop up after, bro. But
All right.
all right, see you later.
All right. Bye.